get it. Your grandfather was in the midst of passing away and is passing away, but that doesn't make your life more important than my life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's beyond the headphones. The headphones are just a catalyst to bring to light what you're doing.
So what do I say? So I say, I didn't explain to why I ended the friendships beyond the headphones. Thank you.
I appreciate this gesture. Here's
my
gesture. I appreciate this. It shows good character or something. Here's my Cash App. What's good, John? Lonee Appleton. I am a healthy family advocate. What that means is I advocate for the health and wellness of you, your family, your relationships, and just in the world. If that is your content of choice, stick around. This particular space is called My Life is a Classroom, where we learn from my life and we derive meaning from everything, because nothing is coincidental, nothing is on accident. If you are experiencing something, even for a moment, it was for a reason, and it is your responsibility to grow from it. Bye, dear. Love you. Have a wonderful day. If you're not part of the community, please consider joining the community. If you are a part of the community, you already know how we get down. I love to see you guys conversing and communicating in the comments. I love to see you guys connecting and networking and building your network through this network. So what are we talking about today? I have really been exploring friendship. I did not ask universe to teach me about friendship, but the universe is really heavy on teaching me about friendship. Hello, Yolanda. Welcome to the live. I am Lonee Appleton. If you're not familiar with me, welcome. Stop in, join the conversation. So what I have recently learned is a lot of the people that I have identified in my life as friends are actually teachers. And how I came to this realization is someone who was in the community. I started asking everyone in an attempt to increase sales with my website, Lonee Taylor Art. I sell merch. This is a piece of my merch. You can pick it up at Lonee Taylor Art. I have definitely dropped Bishop down because I didn't realize how high he was until I got my sample, and I was like, yeah, let's get him up off my neck. We already know he a killer. He ain't got to be all up on my neck. But, I asked a couple of people within the community. I was like, what prompted you to support me? And everyone gave their own personal answers, of course, and they all gave different answers, but all of the answers rooted back to it's just something about me that brought them to the space of support. So there was really no magic formula for me to tap into to be like, okay, I can encapsulate this and duplicate it and inspire more people in the community to hopefully support the community. But, just keep being me. So that's what I'm going to do. But one of the individuals that I questioned and I asked, hey, why did you choose to support the community? And she said, because the sister support ideology, which, pick up yours at LoneeTaylorArt.com. I got you, sis, really. The sister support hashtag, I left it on in a comment section on somebody else's page, and she was curious about it, so she followed the hashtag, found my content, and she said that she feels that there is something, I have a message for her. So she continues to watch me and engage with me because she feels that I have a message for her. And when she said that, I was like, oh, so let's break this down in the physical and then in, the spiritual world. In the physical world, you have identified someone who has something for you. So you are going to attach to that person because they have something you want. So whether it's, financial gain, whether it's popularity, whether it's, a ride. My best friend in high school became my best friend because we were both in summer school, and my aunt said, I'm not giving you a ride from summer school, so you got to find a way home. And I identified a girl that goes to school with me who has a car, and I was like, yo, I'm about to ask her if she could give me a ride home. Well, through giving me a ride home, we became best friends, and we're friends to this day. Yeah, we talked today, actually, this morning. I called her last night because we have a mutual friend, and I was listening to our mutual friend's voice on a video, and I haven't heard this voice's friend in several years. So maybe they're an associate at this point. That's another question. How long is a friend a friend? Those of you who are active in the live and you're not just passing through, I ask you, how long is a friend a friend? If there's no communication in that time, is that person still a friend? I don't know. Because I came across an individual who was a friend, and I still identify them as a friend because they hold that title. And do you downgrade someone? I don't know. But I was listening, and I haven't heard their voice in so long that I had to listen to the voice. And because I know that I did not invite somebody else into that space that would be unfamiliar, I know that that voice belongs to someone that I know. And so I was listening to the voice, and I was like, my God, I think that's so-and-so. And as I'm listening to the voice, some familiarity clicks in, and I'm like, okay, that is so-and-so. But I was like, I don't remember that so-and-so talked like that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, is that their real voice? So I called my best friend from childhood, and I called her because we both know this individual. I was like, this is hilarious that she talks like this. And I was like, I think this is her corporate voice because I don't remember her talking like this. And so I was talking to my friend from high school, and we just were laughing because we're like, no, she's gully. She speaks a certain way. But listening to her talk on this video, we were both laughing because that's not her, everyday voice. That's her corporate voice. But anyway, when the individual was just like, you have a message for me, so I'm going to stick around until I receive that message, it made me think about all the individuals that I've came in contact with on this app since, the inception of As the Apple Turns. And I was just like, I think they all received what it is they are to receive from me, and then they moved on in their life. And it really helped me reevaluate and evolve my idea of people flowing in and out of my life. People are going to flow in and out of your life. And I think where we tend to err, or we tend to create a situation that shouldn't necessarily be a situation, is somebody's supposed to flow in your life and somebody's supposed to flow out of your life, and it should be a smooth insertion and a smooth release. It should not be any type of grasping and holding on to and trying to create something into something that it spiritually shouldn't be. So initially I talked about these relationships coming together because there's a need within the physical world, i.e. my best friend from high school became my best friend in high school because I needed a ride from school. And we began to bond over whatever it is that we bonded over, but we never really had any like interests, and we were actually frenemies. I didn't know how to be a friend into my adult life. I didn't know how to allow someone to have their own space and to be themselves, and we don't have to be carbon copies of each other, until late into my adult life. And all of those friends that I made in my adult life actually became, I met them online. For some reason, it's easier to have an online friend because the boundaries are automatically in place. I am kept at arm's length. I don't know what's going on in your life. I can't see you unless you want to be seen. I can't talk to you unless you want to be talked to. The difference in proximity friends, i.e. friends that you make because you're in the same space, typically you have made friends with those individuals because you work together, because you go to school together, because you have a common activity together. These are proximity friends. So even if you guys do not plan to see each other or plan to talk to each other, you automatically see each other and you automatically talk to each other because you are at school together, because you're at work together, because you are forced into a space together. So the majority of our friends are proximity friends, which are non-effort friendships unless we choose to make effort. What is beautiful about online relationships and not relationships, but anything is relationships. So I use friendship and relationship interchangeably. But what's beautiful about online friendships is we almost are okay with only communicating with someone when they're available to be communicated with, because that is the only way to maintain an online relationship. We have a higher expectation. I won't say standard, because standards and expectations to me are two different things. Standards are what we put in place before we even allow someone to enter into our space. These people have to align with these things in order to even come close to me and in order to come into my orbit. And once they're in your orbit, now you're able to put your expectations out as different things arise. Like my daughter is experiencing this thing with her AirPods, and she's starting to put controls in place or expectations in place about, this is how I want to be responded to, treated to, all these different things. She's starting to put her expectations in place. But the thing that we're missing is we are putting our standards on the back end. Standards should be put on the front end, i.e., bye, have a great day. Is that light on? We put our standards on the back end. That means we have some sort of connectivity with someone, i.e. proximity. So you're sitting next to someone in class, or your desk is next to someone at work, because a lot of us are adults, or, we've met someone that we share a space with, and they kind of have a vibe that we can vibe with, because we're all thirsty for relationship. We're all thirsty for friendship. We say that we're out here for dolo, we're out here by ourselves, but in reality, we truly crave connectivity. Why do we crave connectivity? Because we are the collective. We are all a part of each other. You know what I'm saying? It's not called the butterfly effect, but it's like the butterfly effect. Something happens and it affects something else, and it ripples into something else, and it ripples into something else, because everything is interconnected. Nothing is separate. If something happens within the butterfly effect, if we know what that is, a butterfly flaps his wings, and when the butterfly flaps his wings, and this is my 50,000 foot level understanding of this, and if I'm saying anything that resonates with you, or that you're like, okay, sis, please double tap the screen, give me some likes, let me know I'm saying something. That also lets TikTok know to push the content out and let people know, hey, somebody likes this, maybe you'll like it too. You can also share the live with your audience and your friend group if this is something that they would vibe with and help grow the community. When a butterfly flaps their wings, and that inertia goes out into the world, and as that inertia goes out into the world, now that affects something. That causes the leaves on the tree to move from the wind from their wings, and now the leaves are moving. Now a bug is flying, and then a bird eats the bug, and then the bird so that's the butterfly effect to my understanding. Now it's much bigger once you talk about the butterfly effect in itself, the effect versus a butterfly, but that is a tangible, example of that. Anyway, if a butterfly flapped its wings and what it did was completely separate to what's happening in the world, then that would then allude to that we are separate. But if the butterfly flaps its wings and then it affects something else and it affects something else, then we are connected to the butterfly. Therefore, when we move and we do something, that affects something else. So we have to understand our power, and we have to understand our connectivity. And understanding our connectivity, then we have to have a better mutual respect for everyone else and ourselves, because what we do to others will ultimately be done to us. Why? Because we are all interconnected. And the energy that we are putting out into the world is the energy that we are attracting back to us, because we are pretty much saying who we are is who we accept. Who we are is who we accept. Who we are is who we surround ourselves with. Who we are, if you look around your inner circle and you don't really vibe with your inner circle anymore, that's when I was asking, how long does a friendship last? Is a friendship forever because I've identified you as a friendship, and because I haven't ghosted you or identified that this relationship is over, are we still friends? Can my friends that I haven't talked to in over 5 years, can they call me right now and say, hey friend, can we pick up where we left off? I don't know. I do understand that there are some friendships out there that are, moment, silence, moment, silence, moment, silence. I do understand that there are some relationships out there like that, but are all relationships like that? I think it's the connectivity point. How did you connect with that person? So my daughter is going through a situation now where she is ending a lot of her friendships. She's cleaning house, where she's just like, all of these relationships were proximity relationships, i.e., I was friends with these people because we went to school together. She recently graduated from high school, and she's really trying to restructure her life and, set herself up for her next phase of life. She understands high school was a phase, or high school was a particular phase is the best word that I could think. Stage is a good word too. Was a particular stage in her life, and now that she's going into a different stage in her life, she needs to structure that. So she's really trying to clear house, especially as she continues to evolve and to know her self-worth. And that's why I say, available at LoneeTaylorArt.com. Know your worth. Know your worth. Then charge tax. She now is starting to elevate her worth. The worth that you had for yourself when you started these friendships, is that the same self-worth that you have now? If you have a different self-worth now, it's time that you start reevaluating those friendships. Available at LoneeTaylorArt.com, as well as other merch. My daughter's going through that right now, and last night we were having a conversation outside. I was sitting outside with my husband and my daughter, and they were out there smoking, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm a part of the family. Hey, Ree, I feel like I'm part of the family because I'm sitting on the front porch, or not the front porch, I'm sitting on the back porch with you guys, and I think we heard a gunshot last night. Like, it was the whole full experience, the whole sitting on the stoop experience. I had it last night. And so my daughter was just like, okay, there's this young lady that I would like to discontinue this friendship with, and how do I say it? And so I was advising her how to say it and to break the friendship off. And then Dre, thank you for the love, thank you for the hearts. Dre chimes in and he was like, you really don't owe her anything. Just stop talking to her. If you want to end the relationship, just end the relationship. And I was like, and because I'm in my season of, and now this is a brand new practice, I love this because I do 30-day seasons. Any type of change that I want to implement with my husband, I say, okay, for 30 days, let's do this. And so that thank you so much for encouraging activity within the community. I appreciate it. I do anything for 30 days, any type of change that I want to implement with my husband, instead of saying, hey, instead of, I'm not going to do it. I want to do it. Can I do it brand new? Can I do it? Any type of change that I want to implement, instead of saying, we're going to do this, I'm going to say, hey, do you mind trying this for 30 days? This way he feels that he has, I don't like it. This is brand new. Hey, brand new. That way he feels that he has a choice in the matter instead of me enforcing anything. You know what I'm saying? So last night, I'm jumping subjects. I really want to stick on this friend topic. But anyway, last night Bailey asked, how do I end this friendship? And Dre was just like, just stop talking to her. She doesn't need an explanation. And I was like, so in essence, you're telling her to ghost her. And I was just like, Bailey, do you like to be ghosted? And Bailey was like, no, I don't like to be ghosted. I was just like, okay, so I understand the ghost piece as in, I don't want to talk to this person anymore. I don't want to deal with this person anymore. I'm just going to stop. Okay, that's cool. But we need to understand the butterfly effect, right? I don't know how did I do my butterfly before? There we go. We have to understand the butterfly effect. Everything that we do to others is done onto us. The way that we treat others is how the treatment that we accept. We have to understand, and this ain't the butterfly effect. I don't know why I prematurely pulled my butterfly out, because the point that I want to make here is the treatment that we give to others is the treatment that we choose to receive for ourselves. Know your worth. Know your worth. And the key to knowing your worth is how you treat others. What you put out into the universe is what you will receive back. because you think this treatment is okay. You think ghosting someone is okay. You can leave somebody on red and it doesn't do anything to you, so you really can't get upset when someone leaves you on red, because this is the treatment that you feel is okay. So you cannot get upset when you are receiving the treatment that you put out into the universe. And if you realize you are getting upset with the treatment that you put out into the universe, it's time for you to change your treatment of others. Let's see what Brand New is talking about. Tell her why you don't want to talk to her anymore. I had to tell my daughter this all the time. Everybody isn't meant to be your friend. So I had to ask her. Great advice and great understanding. I did ask her. I was just like, because she left her AirPods over this girl's house like 6 months ago. But, all the drama with the car situation, we live way over here and she went to school way over there. So the girl lives way over there. We lived over there, but then we moved over here, but she stayed at the same school. And so it just has been a difficulty for my daughter to get to her AirPods. And then when she did connect with the girl, she forgot to grab her AirPods. And then another girl in the friend group, ended up with the AirPods because they somehow switched them up. And now the girl who ended up with my daughter's AirPods lost one of the AirPods. So it kicked off. Your conflicts with anyone has a catalyst. So it kicked off because of the catalyst. The error that we make is we focus on the catalyst instead of the behaviors behind the catalyst, which means, yes, the AirPods, they're annoying her because she can't seem to get her AirPods. And this girl is traveling and going out of town, and I'll get it to you when I get back, and when I get back. And so Bailey is focused on the catalyst. She's focused on the surface. She's focused on the AirPods and the fact that this girl is, unavailable so that Bailey can get her AirPods from her. And while she was talking to me, I was just like, before you send that text, it sounds like you're just hating that she's over there living her best life and you just sitting around focused on some goddamn AirPods. So before you send that text, I want you to get real clear about why you want to end this friendship, because it ain't got shit to do with them AirPods. And she's like, it doesn't. It has everything to do with the fact that I have been trying to get something that is mine from her and she keeps pushing me off. I was like, okay, so that's what you say in the text, that you have made me a afterthought, that something that my needs don't matter ahead of your needs, and all of these are the things that matter. You feel like you should be a higher priority in this friendship, and that is a valid thing to say. We feel that we shouldn't say that in relationships or friendships because that's kind of intimate relationship things. I think you need to make me a higher priority. That's true, but also, if we're friends, if we have chosen to create some sort of connectivity, then you continuously putting me off to go hang out with other people, putting me off to go out of town, putting me off, whatever it is that you choose to put me off, how is this a friendship? There's no friendship here. I don't want to be your friend in title. I don't want to be your friend in your needs, which means you can now come be a friend to me because you need something from me, when for 6 months I've been trying to get something from you and somehow we haven't managed to connect. That means that I am not priority and I don't like the way that this feels. I ain't got to be number one, but can I be number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number something? No, I can't. To the point where my AirPods ended up with someone else who ended up losing my AirPods. So I told her to get really clear on why you want to end this friendship. If it's not adding value to your life or it's not making you feel good, then that's what you are ending the friendship over. You're not ending this friendship over AirPods, so get real clear. And so Dre was like, just ghost her. And I was just like, what I used to say to my daughter in the past, and I understand it now. I didn't understand it then. But what I say to her, and I said it, I still say it. I understand the advice and I still stand on it, but I didn't understand it, or it was coming from a negative space before. Now I tell her, for the relationships in your life, for the jobs in your life, for the things in your life that you do not value, First of all, you should not have things in your life that you don't value. But as you are learning your worth, and you are identifying your value, you're going to come across individuals who, you're going to come across jobs who, you're going to come across things where you're just like, this is a place filler. And when you come across those things, you still need to practice asserting yourself. You need to still practice setting your boundaries. You still need to practice your expectations, i.e. add tax. You still need to practice saying the things that need to be said, because when you get into a situation, you're going to want to use those skills. But if you have no training, you're going to fumble. Like when I get on here and I'm on live and I'm just developing theories and I'm just like, and I think the butterfly and then, I'm trying to work it out. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't have any history or any background in what I'm talking about. But I know there's something there. And so I have always told my daughter the best example I can give is her job at the grocery store. I told her, look, you don't care about this job at this grocery store. So when the manager is talking to you stupid, be assertive and be like, that's not how you should speak to me. I am a human too, and I deserve to be treated with respect. I understand I was 5 minutes late. If you have to write me up, go ahead and write me up. But you speaking to me derogatorily or speaking down to me, that's not how a manager should lead. Speak up for yourself. Who cares if they fire you? It's a freaking grocery store. Go across the street and get a job at the next grocery store. But what that's doing is that's giving her training to go into the next situation that she actually does value, and she runs across an asshole who thinks they could talk to her any kind of way, and she has the confidence and the courage to stand up for herself. The thing is, people are able to run over us because we remain silent while they run over us. And we go and tell our friends about it, how much we're pissed. So now we're in these different I could say off. I should have bleeped out pissed. But anyway, how pissed off we are about it. We go and complain about it instead of addressing it. And so now we have all these intimate relationships in our lives, i.e. friendships and relationships, where all these people are running over us and we're not saying anything about it. Why aren't we saying anything about it? I root all the way back to when our parents used to tell us, do as I say, not as I do. We were raised in homes where children were supposed to just sit and watch hypocrisies happen and not say anything about it. So now they are adults who sit and watch hypocrisies happen and not say anything about it. So we are training our children to keep their mouths closed when they see an injustice happening, because they see injustices happening within our home, and they are taught to stay in a child's place, stay out of our business, and keep your mouth closed. I like the way you put that. I had a friendship that I wanted to end, but they were never available, just like during the one-sided friendship. Yep. And you're allowed to have standards. I get it. There's unrealistic standards out there where you're just like me all the time. That's unrealistic. But just basic human decency, I think we're allowed to ask for basic human decency. Are we friends? Or if we're not friends, I'm good. Just let me know. I'm about to drop these videos where I observed my daughter having conversations with their friends, and I was just like, I kind of feel like my daughter's the outlier friend. I think that my daughter is the, she's a friend, but she's just holding on to the friendship. I'm going to call her because so-and-so is not available friend. Like, she's not the priority friend. And the thing is, the problem with the non-priority friendships is the person who's the non-priority friend definitely feels, and they know that they're the non-priority friend. No matter what you tell them, they feel it. Energy is more tangible than physical. Fatima, she's one of the women that I follow on here, and I caught a glimpse of one of her videos that she posted, and she said, and it's so much, energy is tangible. Energy is real. Before I see you, I feel you. That's why someone can be in a room that you're in and you can feel them. Before you see them, you can feel them. So energy is very tangible. So you can say that you feel any kind of way about me, but I feel it. And we need to get close and are tapped in enough to our intuition to understand that what we feel is real, not what they say. What we feel is real. And it was a trauma bond, which is why I needed and I wanted to give the friendship a proper closure. The person still texts me, I miss you and love you, friend or sis, and I'm like, no more surface friendships. I do not do surface relationships at all anymore. Once you have a deeper connectivity, you don't want to go backwards. Every aspect of your life, especially if you're doing the work, soon as you get better, you don't want to go backwards. Once you know what you can receive, you don't want to go backwards. You know, my daughter doesn't see how amazing my husband is. That's because she sees him through a child's eyes and she sees him as a father. She doesn't see him as a husband. So every time my husband does something to upset me, and she's like, that's your husband. That's your best friend. And I'm just like, sis, you don't understand. I got the cream of the crop. I was just like, you're dealing with, well, she's 18, so you're dealing with men's. You're gonna figure it out soon enough. You just gotta pick your man, and you know, I got a good one. You know what I'm saying? But you know, she's always like, that's your best friend, that's your husband. And when she says that, I'm just like, well, damn, am I settling? Because this is the first time in my life I feel like I'm not settling. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, the things that my husband does is like small potatoes compared to the things that I have dealt with in relationships. In those relationships, my child could definitely come to me and be like, that's your husband, that's your friend. And I'd be like, girl, I know I need better. I need to know my worth and add tax because this ain't it. You know, so we got to definitely clear those surface relationships. We got to definitely clear those trauma bonds. And my husband, the reason why I brought him up is the way that he treated me, the way that he loved me. He actually taught me my worth. He taught me what I deserve. He taught me what love is, or at the level that we were at. Now I have elevated my worth, and I have now changed and evolved. And that's something, as we continue to grow, we change and evolve, and our expectations for ourselves change. Our worth, my husband still treats me the best. He doesn't mistreat me at all. I just change, you know, hey, how you speak to me, let's address that. Hey, da-da-da, let's address that. Hey, da-da-da, let's address that. And I am learning to have conversations that I never had. But what if I had those conversations with all those relationships that didn't mean anything? Then I would have never came into my relationship with my husband and accepted anything. I would have been like, no, okay, I understand that's how you spoke to everyone before me, but this is how I would like for you to speak to me. I understand that's how you treated everyone before me, but in order to be in my orbit, and you don't have to sound, you know, conceited or full of yourself, but you should be full of yourself. If you're going to be full of something, would you rather be full of or would you like to be full of yourself? I would like to be full of myself, because if I'm full of myself, I know who I am. So if my confidence, not my conceit, but if my confidence is a threat to you, then that's already a disqualifier. These are the red flags that we need to be looking for. The red flags that we need to be looking for are going to be the individuals who we give them our standard of care or our handle with care instructions, i.e. you are being assertive and speaking up for yourself, like the example I gave with my daughter's boss, speaking up for yourself and saying, hey, that's not how you're going to speak to me. That's not how a manager is supposed to speak to their subordinate. If that's how you feel you need to speak, we need to discontinue this conversation. You're more than welcome to write me up. You're more than welcome to reprimand me. Do what the protocol says. But the protocol doesn't say that I need to stand here and listen to you speak to me this way, because this is disrespectful. Go ahead and learn how to be assertive when it doesn't matter. You could go get another grocery store job. But now when you're in your office and you're making your money and people are treating you messed up simply because of the color of your skin, or simply because of your gender, or simply because they don't like your energy, you can be assertive. What they gonna do? Check themselves and know you ain't the one or the two? Hell yeah. And we're doing that in relationships too, and we're doing that with friendships. And so when my husband was like, just ghost her, I was like, you don't like when you're being ghosted, so I wouldn't ghost her. And Dre's like, why does she deserve an explanation? And I was like, do you want someone to continue to call you and to continue to reach out for you, and for them to feel like, what did I do? All the things that we go through when someone ghosts us, do you want someone else to feel that in relation to you? Is that the energy that you want to put out into the world? Because that's lower vibrational energy. And we understand on the road to manifestation, we need to stay away from lower vibrational energy as often as possible. Thank you for double tapping the screen. I really appreciate you. Judge your mama, ho. Hey, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. Dang, since you said it, I too. Don't judge me, judge your mama. You made it okay. I started saying judge yourself, but since we judging your mama and you added the ho to it, judge your mama, ho. I like that. Yes. Ooh, that touched my spirit, period. It's my spirit, period. You know it, baby. Yes, don't judge me, judge your mama, because your faults are your mama's fault. And I know that took it too far, but that's the truth. We are failing while we're raising our kids, and I realize that for myself. I realize that for myself, that I have failed my children, and it's my job to step up and catch them before they go out into the world and thinking ghosting people is okay. I love you back, sis. I believe you're a sis, but I love you back. I can't see that small, but I love you back. You know, so she sent out a message to the individual and was just like, you know, I'm going to end this friendship. And the person sent her back and was like, I understand. But she said, you know, this situation with my AirPods is just too much. I don't know what her exact language was. This situation with my AirPods is just too much. I'm going to end the friendship here. Because what I was telling her to say was too wordy. I was like, it ain't got nothing to do with the AirPods. It got everything to do with her treating you like an afterthought. Your needs and your priorities don't matter to her. The amount of time that you have not had your AirPods, you have had to go out and buy another pair of headphones in the meantime because for some reason she can't seem to connect with you. And that's the problem. When does Bailey matter? That's the problem. Okay. And so she didn't say all that. She just said the situation with his AirPods is not conducive with, you know, my lifestyle. So the friendship is over. And no, she didn't say conducive. That's probably something I would have said, you know. And so the girl texts back and she's like, I understand. You know, I'm sorry. You're a great person. Best wishes. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, that's cool. Because like Ree said, when she ended a friendship with a individual, that person probably, I don't know, it may not be a parallel, but in relationships that you value, you don't let them go as easy. That's my point. With Ree's situation was a trauma bond, which means this person was dependent on her like a drug. She needed to get her off on Ree. And Ree probably needed to get their stuff up on her. Get her stuff off on her. But in getting your stuff off on somebody else, you are not dealing with your stuff. You are just cycling and creating a cesspool of your BS. But hey, we both get to complain and we both get to feel good in our trauma and in our drama. And so instead of seeking solution, which will take you out of the trauma bonding relationship, this person's not ready. I'm no longer willing to sit in the mud pit with you. What I can do is I can get to the side of the mud pit and I can pull you out. But if you're pulling me down while I'm trying to pull you out of the mud pit, then I can't help you. Therefore, I must disassociate with you. You know, people don't understand that you grow and evolve. And that's why I said, if you've identified as somebody as a friend, how long does that friendship last? Is friendship forever? Tired, they still think we are friends, distant friends. I don't know. See, that's the thing. You did what was necessary for you. So whatever disillusion that maintains in their head, that ain't got nothing to do with you. You could block them at this point. You can do all the ghosting activities now because you brought closure to the relationship. The problem is when we silently bring closure to relationships, we are now ghosting someone and we are now leaving ourselves open to be harassed by someone continuously communicating with us that we don't want to be communicated with. And then sometimes because they continuously communicate, we end up snapping on them. And now they're receiving energy that they don't really deserve because they don't know because you never told them. I'm just saying, we should make it a regular habit just to tell people, yo, I don't want this relationship anymore. It could be as simple as that versus just ghosting somebody. I think that is one of the rudest things that we can do is just go silent on someone because you have moved on with your life, but the other person is unaware. And so they are sitting there and they are stuck in their life trying to figure out who, what, when, where, and why. When all you had to do was say, I no longer want this relationship. You don't owe them a dissertation, but I think you do owe them a, yo, I'm done here. I have moved on and maybe she has too, but let's not be fake and invite me places as an afterthought. Exactly. I'm not an afterthought. I would rather not be contacted at this point. However, I am not going to text and have a convo like that. Okay, because you ended the relationship. Period. It's a done deal. But you properly ended the relationship. So if they still choose to contact you, you at this point can respond however you choose to respond. So if it's like, look, sis, I told you we ain't friends no more. I'm sorry you missed me. I appreciate the love, but please stop contacting me. This is getting uncomfortable. You're allowed to pipe up a level. Remember, Michelle Obama says when they go high, we go low. I have altered that just a little bit. When they vibrate low, we vibrate high. I think I said that backwards. When they go low, we go high. When they vibrate low, we vibrate high, which means you can get, no, they don't know I feel this way. Girl, you better communicate. Let them know. Did you already give them the, I don't want this relationship anymore conversation? If you've given them that conversation after that, you can take whatever you need to say. Just make sure you do not drop your vibration when you say it. Bitch, stop calling me. You know what I'm saying? That's dropping your vibration. You know what? I communicated with you that I no longer want to be a part of this relationship. It's not feeding my soul. It doesn't feel good to me. I don't like the way this feels. Whatever language you want to use, stop calling me. You did not do anything rude. You were just assertive. Last year, I tried to meet up to talk to discuss my friendship needs. And then what happened? We're a year later. What happened? They never were available to meet up. So I'm like, I can't put my energy into it. So you decided to separate, or did you say, yo, I'm not getting what I need from this. I'm out. Did you communicate that? That's the only piece that I am advocating for is the communication piece. You tried to repair. You tried to give them the opportunity. The thing is, my daughter is out here and we've all done it, and it's problematic. We all look at our friends and we have a private tick sheet. We have a private tick sheet that they are unaware of. So we are like, they didn't answer my phone call. They didn't answer my phone call again. They didn't answer my phone call again. 4 times a strike. They didn't answer my phone call. Create distance, start acting funny, blah, 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 blah. But the first time you didn't address it. The second time you didn't address it. The third time you didn't address it. And the fourth time you are now drawing a conclusion that they're not even understanding that they're being held to a specific standard because you're not communicating it. Hey, when I call and you don't answer my call, it bothers me. Because a part of friendship to me is connectivity. I understand you're busy. I understand you have your life. But if you cannot fit me into your schedule in a day, when I called you, clearly there was a need on my part. Then this relationship's not giving me what I need, so I'm gonna be out. I didn't have an opportunity, and I don't communicate in that way through text. So you're just gonna be in an awkward situation until this may have to be, for your peace, this may have to be an exception. I.e., I typically don't communicate this way through text, but because I cannot get in contact with you and have a face-to-face with you, I'm going to end this relationship this way. Have a nice life. Yeah. I would just text for your peace because she's bothering you, right? We think, I don't want to be mean. I don't want them to feel bad. How does it feel to be ignored? Which is worse, being ignored or someone saying something that may hurt your feelings in the moment. Damn, she said that I'm bothering her, versus her continuously contacting you and not getting a response. I think the continuously contacting you and not getting a response is a prolonged suffering versus a quick little rip the Band-Aid off. Just rip the goddamn Band-Aid off. I come with you no more. It's good. Use whatever your language is, right? Judge your mama, whatever language you want to use. I say judge yourself. Judge your mama says judge your mama, but we're saying the exact same thing. So whatever language you choose to use, go on and use that language. But you are prolonging your suffering by not addressing it, because you have set a standard for yourself, i.e., I don't have conversations like that in person. Via text. But because you cannot have that conversation, now you are left to experience something that you don't want to experience. So who are you protecting here? Who are your rules and your standards that you set for yourself, but they're causing you issues? You know what I'm saying? It's okay to have standards for ourselves. It's okay to have rules for ourselves. But if those standards and rules are affecting us, then rules were meant to be broken. In this particular situation, I'm going to send this text because you're unavailable to me. But I want you to leave me the fuck alone. I guess I goes to her, but I will respond when she texts. I get it now, Lonnie. I kind of don't care enough to text, but the reason to text is to end it. Right. Yes, to end it, to stop her from messaging you. Boom. That's the thing. You don't care about this relationship, but you care about the relationship with your spouse. You don't care about this relationship, but you care about the relationships with your children. This is what I'm teaching my daughter, and this is what my husband said, ghost her. I was like, don't ghost her, because you are building a muscle. We can't just go pick up a 50-pound dumbbell. But we can work our way up from 5 pounds up to 50 pounds through slow progress, because we developed a muscle. The 5-pound didn't really matter because that's not your goal. The 10-pound didn't matter, because that wasn't your goal. The 20, the 30, the 40. The goal was the 50. Now there's 2 lessons there. The first lesson is the 5, the 10, the 15, the 20, the 25, all the way up to 50. Every single pound. Mommy, those are daddy's. Go ask daddy. Every single pound should have mattered. Why? Because you set the ultimate goal, but every step to achieving that goal should matter. Because we are getting stronger. Can you please shut my door? So every relationship that got you to your spouse, every relationship that got you to your children, they matter. They don't matter to you, but they matter in your development. Which means you are building a muscle to be able to be assertive. You are building a muscle in order to stand up for yourself. You are building the muscle necessary to create the life that you know that you're worth. Know your worth. How do you know your worth? When you accept anything and you remain silent. You don't know your worth, but you do know your worth. And therefore you must establish your worth. I.e., I don't care about this relationship, but you're not treating me the way that I know that I deserve to be treated. Therefore, you must go. But because you don't care about this relationship, you are allowing things to happen that should not be happening to you. And we think it's minimal. Oh, it's just them reaching out and messaging me. But that ting of the annoyance that you feel just drops your vibration. You over here trying to vibrate and manifest and create the life that you feel that you deserve. And then you look at your phone and it's somebody you don't want to hear from. And then that, your energy. So you were vibrating high and then you saw their message and just your energy. And now you got to work to get your vibration back up. When all you got to do is say, yo, stop messaging me. However you want to word it. It could be nice. It could be mean. However you choose. I don't encourage anyone to be mean. It could be wordy. It can be short. That's how you communicate. But I think we should properly start ending relationships so that people will leave us the hell alone. And they don't have to feel and sit and wonder. Why? Because we don't like what it feels like to sit and wonder. And so my sister, not my sister, why do I keep calling this girl my sister? My daughter sends the text. My daughter sends the text to the individual who, either doesn't know how to show value to a relationship, because the subsequent conversations, I think subsequent is next, conversations that took place, alludes to this girl does value the relationship. And so anyway, the girl now turns around and messages the girl who has my daughter's AirPods. And they're discussing it. And so the girl who has my daughter's AirPods screenshots the conversation, sends it to my daughter and says, hey, you discontinued the relationship with so-and-so behind the AirPods. I have the AirPods. I've lost one of them, so I'll have to give you the money for them. But I don't think this is something to end a relationship over. And my daughter came to me. She's learning, so whenever she communicates with someone, she's like, do I need to read it to you first? I was like, no, trust your gut, trust your intuition. If you knew to come ask me what to do, then you know what my advice would probably be. So at some point, she has to wean herself off of me and have the confidence to be able to have these conversations. But right now I'm teaching her. I'm teaching her how to step away from friendships. This is something I recently learned through some friendships I've made here on TikTok. So she comes and she's like, okay, what do I say? And I was just like, well, the reason why you discontinued that friendship was never about the AirPods, which is what I told you yesterday to tell her. It's not about the AirPods. It's about the, dismissing me, making me an afterthought, blah, 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 blah. I don't have time to be like, pick me. I'm not a pick me, but you have put me in a position to be a pick me. So I'm going to have to get up out of here. I didn't know that you thought I was going to be a pick me, but now that you're treating me like a pick me, I'm not. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? That's what the text should have been. Should have never said nothing about the AirPods. But because, it was a conversation between the three of us, and that's what she chose. I was like, I'm not going to supersede. The days of me arguing against my husband are over, because I encourage my husband to join the conversation. So in the times that he does join the conversation, it's not for me to discount or disqualify anything that he says. It's okay. Now you have my perspective, you have your perspective, and you have Dre's perspective. You can take all three of those perspectives. And hey, Afro, I published your video today. Let me introduce you guys to Afro T-Lock real quick. Afro T-Lock is a member of our community. She is an author. She wrote Trinity Learned Self-Love. This is, how you doing, friend? This is available on Amazon at the price point of $13. So it is really, really affordable. Here's our sis. I have started the Sister Support Network. Why? Because when you see her, you should see yourself. I.e., you should see a Black woman out here pursuing her dreams. And when she made this possible, she's letting you know that your dreams are possible as well. So please support her. At the very least, stop over at her page and tell her, great job, sis. I see what you're doing. Keep going. At the very most, stop over at Amazon and pick up Trinity Learned Self-Love. This is a beautiful book about self-love. I really love that she included the coloring pages. Before I actually saw the title, I was like, why the hell are these pages black and white? And then I actually saw where it said these are coloring pages. And I was like, oh, that is brilliant. Because now, you know how our kids like to color in their books, right? She included the coloring pages. So not only is the learning taking place, but the love and the joy of coloring and creating. And now your child has a place to create in a book that they can keep forever. So definitely check this book out. This is what we do over here. I told you when you popped into my live and you said you have a book, I told you I was going to get your book. And then when I got your book, I started the Sister Support Network, which means as another Black woman entrepreneur, we trade and we introduce our network to this other individual. And I just happen to have your book, so you're in the network, whether you asked to be or not. When you joined our community, you joined our community. That's what this community is about. So, I hope those are happy tears, my friend. So anyway, with the whole friendship situation, she sent her text message, and the other little girl came back and was just like, you know, I don't think that's worth ending the friendship over. And so my daughter was like, what do I say? And I was just like, tell her that it was never about it never was about the AirPods. There's more going on in that I didn't, explain or whatever, but here's my Cash App. I appreciate it. Good character trait. You lose something to somebody else, go ahead and send me the money. But I was like, look at God. You ain't even got to go get them old ass AirPods. She about to send you money for a brand new pair. So look at God. It worked out in your favor. Can I send you the self-love box? You could, yes. DM me and I will send you my address. Send me what you have and I will introduce it to my community. I'm not sure if you've been on my page. I tagged you on my video. I have boys. But this is what I said. When I bought this book, I was like, I don't have any I have adult daughters. I have an 11-year-old and an 18-year-old. But this age group is a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old boy. But when I bought this book, I was like, I just bought it because I told you I'm going to buy it, and I'm a woman of my word. But when I bought it, I didn't intend to read it to my sons because the main character is a girl. But why wouldn't I? I would read a book that has a main character that is a boy to my daughters. But why wouldn't I read a book who has a main character that is a girl to my sons? That is a bias that I need to address. So yes, I have sons, but a book is a book. A human experience is a human experience. Self-love is self-love. Doesn't matter what the main character looks like. The words are for everyone. Exactly. So I had to check my own bias. So even if you're out there and you have a son and you're just like, well, I don't want the book, it's a little girl. The words are for everyone. The words are for everyone. And if you want to stop the divide between boys and girls, men and women, that's a girl activity and that's girly stuff. You have to stop being boy, girl. And I'm not saying you need to introduce your kid to anything that you're uncomfortable introducing your kid to, but it's okay to read a book to my sons where the main character is a girl. It's okay for my 4-year-old to walk around pushing a stroller with his imaginary baby, because all I see is a husband pushing his baby around, helping his wife with the kids. Why? Because he was a 4-year-old walking around pushing a stroller, pretending there is a baby in it. So we have to stop the separation. So she messaged the girl and she sends her Cash App, and that's the end of the situation. I was kind of rambling, and that turned into an hour-long ramble. Welcome to Lonee's World. I created it with my granddaughter in mind, but my grandson loves it. I bet. I definitely understand, and I understand the value in us all being interconnected. We're all interconnected. Girls should be exposed to boy things and boys should be exposed to girl things so that we can stop the division of the genders. We have to stop the division of the genders. And the only way that we stop the division of the genders, and Afro Ree, who is in the chat right now, she is also an author. I did her book. She's also in the Sister Support Network. This is a Guided Shadow Work Journal, Ree Scott. There's a playlist on my book that is titled Sister Support Network. So she's another one that's within the network. And then, how have social expectations influenced your self-perception and life choices? Sis dug deep. How have social expectations influenced your self-perception and life choices? How has ghosting someone influence your self-perception and life choices? That was a prompt for that ass. Let's start digging deep and doing the healing work. This is a shadow healing work journal, a guided shadow work journal. Every prompt that I have read in this book as an example, I am a life coach, trauma therapist from California. Okay, so Afro is coming with all the creds, all the credentials, all the backgrounds, and this is what was poured into this book. Ree is an artist. Ree is a creative. Ree is healing herself, and that's what's poured into this book. So you already know all the good stuff. All the good stuff is here, both available on Amazon. So, teachers and friends, I was rambling because I identified that some of the people that I have identified as friends are actually teachers. And the song that came to mind was, I think it's One More Try by George Michael. Teacher, there are things that I don't want to. I don't know the words, but you know the song I'm talking about. Afro, if you are a grandmother, you know George Michael. And Ree, I know you know who George Michael is, and I believe you guys know that song because it was a hit. Yes. And so that song came to mind because he misplaced his feelings towards his teacher. And I was like, I think that's what's happening to me. Because people keep coming, well, everybody, this is separate than everything is a lesson, everything is an opportunity to grow. This is separate than that. These are when people are brought into your life specifically to teach you something and to elevate you. I have identified teachers as friends, and there are two people who have came into my life since I've been on TikTok who have sparked monumental evolutionary change within me. I was a school teacher unofficial school teacher for 10 years. At least that's what my resume says. It wasn't a solid 10 years, but I got my degree in 1 year and I taught to the end of that 10 years. So I was a teacher for 10 years. So yes, I went into education because I was afraid of this. Well, this wasn't available when I went into education. You know, I've always tried to teach and I've always tried to connect. See, look at that connecting in the chat. I've tried to teach and I've tried to connect with people, you know, but my cop out was I'll just become a classroom teacher because everybody has that teacher that inspires them. And I'll just be the inspirational teacher because I don't know how to become an inspirational speaker. That was a bar. But I didn't know. And so that's how I ended up in the classroom. And alhamdulillah, praises to the Most High, you know, I ended up being the librarian and I ended up being the gifted and talented teacher. I was not an ABC 1, 2, 3 teacher because, Lord, you do not want to have me teaching your children ABCs and 1, 2, 3s because I don't value it and I don't really understand it. I'm like, what the hell? When they used to have me subbing because I was the gifted teacher, which means I was the pass around teacher. When the other teachers were out and they didn't have a sub, they would call me in. And so I would have to sub in math classes. My God. I'd be like, who's the smartest kid and who likes to teach? Okay, you go ahead and teach the class because I don't know none of this stuff. I was a terrible teacher, but I was inspiring and so much so that I still have families that contact me today and keep me up to date on what their kids have going on. Because I inspired change. I inspired evolution. I sure as hell didn't teach them ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, but I taught them how to live life. And so that's why I became a teacher. And that's why I'm teaching here. Because I'm here to inspire everyone to live life. One of my degrees is in education. God dang, sis. I used to do my own thing as a teacher. Yeah. I always did my own thing. That's why they kicked me out of that white school. They were like, this nigger done came, not nigrid. I said nigrid, not the ER. I said nigrid. But I had a straw in my mouth, so it came across the wrong way. But this individual done came in here and done switched things up, and we told her to keep it cookie cutter, and she done added some of that black flair on it. We don't like that here. We don't like that. So they kicked my ass up out of there. So our teachers, not friends. Our teachers, yes. The first person, let me tell you how I came to this realization, and this is a very prolific realization, if I must say so myself. What I came to understand was people come in our lives to deliver messages. there's a member in this community, and I was saying this earlier in the live, where I message everyone within the community that I'm aware that have purchased Lonnie Taylor art from me, or merch from me, or a book from me. What's your class about? What class? I don't have a class. When I was a teacher, I was a gifted and talented teacher. So I had all of the smart kids, like the super smart kids who don't think like everybody else, like myself, but I wouldn't have probably passed. I tried the gifted test. My ass didn't pass it. But I don't think like everybody else. But I had those people, and it was my job to create activities for them to kind of decompress and for them to use their knowledge base in a practical space. So, creating different scenarios. What's one of the things that we did? We created Ferris wheels. So everybody, so that was more for the artistic creatives. That was for the builders, the mathematical people. So they had to mathematically use their skills to build this Ferris wheel and to make it move, and the people who are writers, they were able to write. A part of the activity was to write a piece. So everybody was able to work in the areas that they were strong in, and they were also able to work in the pieces that they were weak in. So they're developing themselves all around, but they are learning a practical way to use their superpower. So that's what my classes were about. You have a superpower. You're an Appleton first and foremost, and a Taylor. So you have superpowers. Your superpower should be leaving my room so I could finish talking.
But I went terrible.
You're terrible?
No, I went terrible.
Okay. Bye-bye. Go hang out with Daddy. Your daddy's here. Go hang out with Daddy. Like, this is an awesome opportunity for you.
I'm not home.
I literally hear him out there. So make sure you're telling the truth, okay? I know you're just playing a joke, but make sure you're always telling the truth, okay?
But I like playing jokes.
I know you like playing jokes. I get it. I have a sense of humor.
That's why I deeply play jokes.
This is what my lives are like. I'm sorry.
So
I'm a stay-at-home mammy who's building an empire on her bed, and sometimes my 4-year-old interjects. Yo, go. Thank you. I appreciate your compliance. I appreciate you listening. Thank you. So I messaged this individual and I was like, hey, why did you purchase from me? And they were like, the sister support hashtag led me to you. Thank you. I appreciate you stopping in. Thank you. Thank you. No problem. Always. I asked her why she purchased from me. She said the sister support hashtag led her to me, and then my personality is why she chose to support me, and she continues to support me. She's one of my aces. She's definitely a part of the community. And I was like, the last thing she said was, I believe that you have a message for me. She said, you have a message for me. And when she said that, it made me feel like this relationship that we have, this association, has an expiration date, which is fine. Because another relationship that I had on here, which was a teacher, the way that it ended is the one that gave me the philosophy that friendships should have an ending. They had a beginning, they should have an ending. And it shouldn't be something so abrupt as I just ghost you. And so when she said, I feel you have a message for me, I was like, okay, this relationship, no matter how beautiful it is going to end because she's waiting for me to say something that she was told will be said. And only the divine knows when that message will be delivered. I was like, okay, cool. And then I transfer that to the other people that I have identified as friends. And then I think about the people that I have identified as friends, and it's an intense connection, and they are actually evolving my thinking. But they're not evolving my thinking. All of you guys, we're making soul connections, so you're evolving my thinking, little by little by little by little by little. But these two individuals, I saw that they had a message for me. And now I know that because somebody said it to me. As we're trying to figure ourselves out, start paying attention to the messages that are being delivered to you, i.e. the conversations that are happening around you that you're privy to overhear. Because remember, there's stuff happening around us all the time, but there's only key things that we key into. So if we hear something, i.e. you're sitting on this live, and whatever you hear in the time that you're here, that was for you. And that is for you to internalize, process, get rid of the crap, and utilize what's for you. And so every relationship that I have here, every association that I've met here, I am pulling into my space soul connections. And in those soul connections, every interaction has meaning. But there's two people that I have come in contact with who I was like, now I know energetically they have a message for me. So I have attached to those people. In the first one, we burned hot. We created collaborations. And because we don't understand, or we didn't understand at the time, I understand now, but because I did not understand at the time that she is a teacher, I thought this intense connection must be a friendship. This is a soulmate. This is someone who I need to build with. No, that intense connection, that need to know, that need to be around, that draw to, is an indicator that this is a teacher and there is a lesson here. There's a message that needs to be delivered. So we erroneously created a really permanent structure between us that should have never been created. And because we created a permanent structure between us, i.e. we became friends and we we're building and all these different things, making these plans based on this intense energy between us, not knowing that there's just a message that needs to be delivered. And so we went through whatever that thing is. This person grew me spiritually. The person that you see today, the philosophies that I hold today are greatly impacted by the things that this person taught me. So there's never going to be bitterness there. I will always talk about this relationship because it's a part of my history. You know what I'm saying? Who I am today, a part of it is this relationship. So this person is like, why do you keep talking about me? I'm not talking about you. And I told him I will never say your name again since you feel like I keep your name in my mouth. I will never mention your name again. But I will talk about the impact that you had on my life. Why? Because people need to understand that we have teachers that come in our lives. And if we don't talk about those teachers, I can't teach. So I'm going to talk about you. I'm just not going to say your name. I'm going to talk around you, but I'm going to tell my truth and I'm going to tell my story. And so this person taught me so much during that friendship. And even in the separation, this person continues to teach me because they are a reflection point for me to say, yo, that was a teacher that I identified or I mislabeled or I miscategorized as a friend. Because soon as I got the messages that I needed from that individual, something happened in the tangible world, something happened in the real world that separated us. She went her way, I went mine. And there was a final conversation that took place. And there was arguing and there was hurt feelings and there were all these things that took place in this conversation. I more so was the observer in the conversation where I was just like, yo, this is happening. So I'm allowing it to happen because I'm watching this. I've never experienced an ending of a relationship before. All a peaceful ending of a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I've had friendships end on arguments. Yes, I've had friendships just be ghosted. Yes, whatever, however else friendships happen in a turbulent space, I've experienced that. But this is the first time that I have experienced having a conversation with someone, giving them the opportunity to alter their behaviors. If they choose to not alter their behaviors because it's pride, it's ego, my expectations are ridiculous, regardless of what the reason why they don't want to alter their behavior, I've given somebody an opportunity to align with my standards. And that's why I say, know your worth. Your standards are up front. Add tax. Those are your expectations. She came in because she aligned with my standards. But when I said, yo, in order for us to continue this relationship, I wanted to feel like it felt before. I was adding my tax, and she wasn't willing to pay the tax. Friendship's over. Friendship should have never been, but maybe the friendship was necessary in order for me to receive the information that I needed from her. I don't know. I think the friendship is okay as long as we're understanding that it can come to an end, and it probably will if you're a teacher. But the friendship is a necessary piece, because in order for me to have the connectivity where you will allow me to have a soul connection, where you begin feeding me, i.e. growing me and evolving me, and I begin feeding you, and I be, growing you and evolving you, I don't have to have a deep connection with you, because I understand that my superpower is I see people's souls. My superpower is I can immediately hop in and start feeding you, giving you what you need. I'm empathic and I'm intuitive. So the things that I'm going to say are going to reach you, because even though I'm not recording this video for you, I recorded this video for you. And those who know. I'm going to say exactly what you need in the time that you need. And a wonderful, wonderful case about that, and this is divine speaking to me right now. There's a Keke Palmer video that I happened across earlier this year or last year. I was heavy into art last year, so it was last year. The gist of the video pretty much said, you are creating something that has never been done before. You are the first of your kind. And I know that you're going to get discouraged. I know that it's difficult. Why? Because you are creating something that has never been done before. But know if you've been called, and of course this is my interpretation of what she said, but know if you've been called to do it, then you're supposed to be doing it. Regardless of the difficulties, regardless of no one showing up. I'm sitting here talking to myself. Regardless of that, you have been called to create something. And because you are trusting divine and you are following your divine purpose, you will receive what it is that you have been shown on the other end. You will receive beyond what you were shown on the other end, because what you see is what you have imagined. But the world that you're about to enter is a world that you can't even imagine, because you haven't seen where you're going. We can only imagine what we've seen. Even if we're imagining something far out, it's probably derived or pulled from different things here, this there, bring it all together, boom. Now I've created this world in my head. But all of that is derived from something that you have experienced. Now, I do believe that divine gives you different things, but I also know that we are here living this life purposefully, and we're supposed to derive meaning and inspiration from our lives. So, yeah. When Keke Palmer said that, it spoke to my soul. She recorded that video. She said, I'm recording this video for myself, but maybe it can help somebody else. I was like, no, sis, you recorded that video for me because you spoke directly to me. And it's not Keke Palmer, it's the person that inspires me. No, that video at the exact time that I watched that video was speaking to an issue that I had, and divine brought that video in front of me. So whatever the divine is bringing in front of you is what you need, whether you know you need it or not. But divinity did. And if you're tapped in, go and get your feeding. So I'm able to teach, and I'm able to feed, and I'm able to elevate, and I'm able to inspire without having an intense friendship relationship. But I understand some of us aren't that way. Some of us have to have some sort of connection before we feed into somebody else. So I don't think the error is in becoming friends with your teachers. I think the error is in believing that those friendships will last forever. Once you identify that someone is feeding into you, that is an indicator to me that this is a short-term relationship. And it's not short-term in a negative. It's short-term in reason, season, lifetime. This person came into your life for a reason or potentially a season. But this is not a lifetime. So do not try to turn a reason and a season into a lifetime, because you will end up with feelings hurt either on your end or the other. Thank you so much. Hey, friend, how you doing? Thank you so much for the love. I was in here talking to myself for a minute. I was like, keep going, Lonnie, keep going. So with all that identification that this person was a teacher and I put them in a category as a friend, and they were only in my life for a reason to teach me how to connect into my spirituality. Because before this person, I was looking for a guidebook to spirituality. This isn't a guidebook to spirituality that I wrote. Available at LoneeTaylorArt.com or on Amazon. Just make sure the seller is Lonee Taylor. This isn't a guidebook. This is a book that I wrote to help you start unlocking your inner potential. This book is giving you, first, it's giving you my experience, just like I do in the videos. My life is a classroom. This book is giving you my experience. And then as you continue to read, the book then gives you how you can apply this to you. Because my teaching, if I can identify my teaching style, I give you a tangible example or a real world example, which means I use how this has happened in my life. So now you can say, okay, boom, I can see, i.e. the Keke Palmer video. The second way that I teach is I now break it down into hypothetical situations. When I wrote this book, everything that I did, I'm now giving you a hypothetical situation. So now I attach to your physical being by telling you about me, because you see yourself in me. That's why we have connected. Something about me. I don't care if it's the curly hair. You're like, I got curly hair too. Whatever it is. I wear glasses too. Whatever it is in the physical world you attach to, and now I have told you a real world, physical world story, and now you feel like you can relate to me. Now that you can relate to me, now I can start bringing you into the space where you can theorize and you can visualize and you can see, oh, I see how this can have deeper meaning in the spiritual world, right? And then when I take it into the spiritual world, now I can get you to start thinking of the possible outcomes versus the outcome that you have been trained to always go to, i.e. ghosting someone at the end of a friendship. That's what we've been trained to do. But if we can train ourselves to be assertive and speak up for ourselves, we can end our frustration with people continuing to contact us that we no longer want to communicate with. And then we turn around and say, stop contacting me. When we could have just said something on a better energy, right? We don't want to be frustrated to the point where we start treating people bad when they were once our friends. And in their mind, they're still our friends. We're the one that severed the relationship. We just didn't communicate. Why can't we communicate? We've communicated everything else. The only thing that we don't communicate is our frustrations with our friends. You're annoying me, but I don't want to tell you you're annoying me because that's rude and that's going to hurt your feelings. Yes, it's going to hurt my feelings that you're telling me that this behavior that I'm exhibiting is annoying you, but I actually value this friendship. So please tell me I'm annoying you so that I can fix it, because I have a teachable spirit. And that should be a standard that you align with. Yo, do you have a teachable spirit? Because in dealing with me, I'm going to do some things that bother you. And I want to be able, or you always make it about yourself first. You don't always say you always say I. Like I always make the story about me first. Before I go into you, I talk about me first. That's people handling 101. In order to draw someone into you, you must talk about yourself first. Which means I'm not attacking you because I recognize this behavior in myself. So we are together. We are the collective. We are both experiencing this. Do you have a teachable spirit? I'm asking because I have a teachable spirit, which means if I do anything that annoys you, please correct me. Because I don't want to continue to do things that annoy you, because that's going to make this relationship difficult. That's going to make this friendship difficult. But I need to know if you have a teachable spirit, because there's going to be times that I may correct the behaviors that you're doing because you really don't know me. I don't really know you, and I don't know what you like, what you don't like. And as I get to know you, I may make some missteps and you may make some missteps. So if we're able to correct each other, then I think this relationship, however long it lasts, it's going to be a beautiful one. You are setting your standards up front. You are making sure this person that you are choosing to align with is able to take correction and redirection. And depending on how they respond to that, what the hell are you talking about? That already lets you know this ain't your person. Man, you sound crazy. You're right, I do. I apologize. Finish that discussion and then get the fuck up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Because that conversation was the closure conversation you need, because we ain't even getting into something because you don't have the attributes that I desire in any type of relationship that I want around me. Anybody who's around me got to have a teachable spirit. I have to be able to correct you with love. You know, if people don't have a teachable spirit and people cannot be corrected with love, that's how you have fake friends. That's how people are so quick to jump to, you offended me and now you're beep, 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 beep. You know, that's how they jump to that so quickly, because they can't take redirection and correction. Yo, you did something that offended me and I'm going to let you know. Now, on the flip side, we're so aggressive with our redirection, our correction, learned at home, because our parents never gently redirected or corrected us. So now we're out here in these streets aggressively redirecting and correcting people, and they're going to match aggression with aggression. But if we can get enough in our feminine energy where we can say, hey, that doesn't feel good to me. I don't like that. I don't like when you speak to me that way. That was unnecessary. You didn't have to say that. And I'm like, oh, you're so sensitive. That is another key point, that you are stating your standards, and you are stating your handle with care instructions, and the person that you have chosen to align with is not evolving with you. And evolution is like this. We think evolution is over time. Yes, we see the effects of evolution over time, but evolution is moment to moment, day to day. Our good sis on here, Coco Chanel, 2 Ks instead of 2 Cs. Coco _ Chanel vibes, or Coco Chanel _ vibes. She's the author of this book. She recently posted a video that said she bought some flowers and the flower was closed the day before. The flower was closed the day before, and when she came back to look at the flower was open. And the message that she was conveying was, we don't think change is happening, but change is happening whether we see it or not. It's small, subtle changes. It didn't take years for this flower to open. That's evolution. That's change. That's growth. And it happens in an instant. The things that we miss is we think that our evolution is over time. No, evolution is moment to moment, second to second. When I first started recording my live today, my husband was still home. I don't know if he's still home. He may be in the living room. But a couple days ago, we had an argument about him being loud in the background when I'm recording videos. So today, when he was still getting ready to leave and go to work, I noticed how he was a lot more quieter. I noticed how he ushered Kaden out, quietly, let's be quiet, let's respect what mom has going on. That was evolution, that was change. So we have to recognize that change and evolution is happening moment to moment, second to second. If we recognize that evolution and change is happening moment to moment and second to second, we can now be intentional about everything. What I did a second ago, I can change it. I can evolve myself that rapidly. How I responded to my peer, how I responded to my friend, how I responded to my child, how I responded to my spouse, I can change it mid-sentence. I can stop myself mid-sentence and change the direction. I can check myself mid-sentence. That's evolution. That's change. And so I'm not sure why I got onto that, but back to friends being teachers. Being able to speak up and be assertive. And if I never made the point with my daughter, my point was we need to take relationships that we don't care about and practice the skills that are necessary to maintain the relationships that we do care about. I don't care about this job, but I know when I do get a job that I care about, I want to be able to be assertive because I don't want to hate coming to my dream job. My dream job isn't miserable because the job itself is miserable. My dream job is miserable because the individuals do not treat me the way that I feel I need to be treated. And why are they able to treat me this way? Because I don't know how to speak up for myself. Or we come into the space of the angry Black woman because we are so deep into our masculinity, survival mode, which is something that I'll talk about eventually. I just got to continue to develop the theory behind it because somebody introduced it to me. And I was like, this is good. I need to dive into this survival mode thing because I need to get my ass out of survival mode. But we're so much in survival mode. We're so much in our masculinity. When we do assert ourselves as a Black woman, it comes off a lot more aggressive than potentially it could have had we practiced a couple times in those jobs that we didn't care about. We could have found the correct words. We could have found the correct energy. We could have done all of those things while we were working at the grocery store. So now that we're working as a lawyer at our dream firm, we're able to speak up assertively for ourselves. And there's no energy, no unnecessary words. There's nothing. You just stating your space or your piece. And the fact that you are stating your PIECE, you are now receiving your PEACE because you practiced when it didn't matter. And the same thing with friendships. Yes, that person does not matter, but you are going to come to someone in your life and that relationship matters. And if you don't know how to speak up for yourself, that person is going to continue to annoy you and you're going to allow it to happen because you have never practiced speaking up for yourself. And you are literally, I know you're going to do it because I did it. You are literally going to run over it in your head, run it over and over and over in your head, trying to say it perfectly because you don't want to offend them. But you do want to state your standards. Well, not your standards. What's the word? Expectations. That's the word. You want to state your expectations, but you don't know how. You would know how if you would have practiced with all those relationships that didn't matter. So stop ghosting people when you're done dealing with them. Stop letting people treat you any kind of way. And you're just like, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. So they're allowed to continue to hurt your feelings. So you're allowed to build resentments towards them. You're allowed to start being annoyed by them. You're allowed to start treating them different and creating distance with them because you don't want to speak up and say, yo, I don't like this. Speak up and say, yo, I don't like this. It's okay. And that's better off long term. And now when you're in a loving relationship that you value, you can speak up to your spouse and say, you are perfect in every way, but there's this way that you do this that I don't vibe with. Can we address that? And they're able to come to you. You want to know why your relationships are failing? I'm going to tell you right now, your relationships are failing because you guys don't know how to communicate. You guys don't know how to talk to each other, and you don't know how to be assertive without being bitchy. There's a fine line between bitchy and assertiveness. And you got to figure out that energy. You got to figure out how to speak up for yourself and advocate for yourself without hurting others. And there's definitely a way to do that. You want to know how I know? Because all the videos that I put out are very highly controversial. A lot of the videos that I put out are targeted towards my demographic. I'm trying to heal the Black woman, but in order to heal the Black woman, I'm not trying, I am. I'm doing the work to heal the Black woman, but in order for me to heal the Black woman, I must call the Black woman out on some hypocrisies. That's not a feel-good conversation to have. But today, my community grew. Our community grew because this is us. Our community grew to 12,000 followers. Thank you. Our community grew to 12,000 followers. The majority of those followers came off of the backs of the Black Girl Follow train. The majority of those followers are still here from the Black Girl Follow train. And all of my new followers that are showing up, a lot of them are Black women. Meanwhile, my content is calling Black women out on their hypocrisies. So there's a way to say it and not have that energy on it. There's a way to say it and your intended audience is receptive. You just got to do the work. You just got to do the work and you got to practice. Put on your training wheels in relationships that don't matter so that when you get into a relationship that matters, you can ride the hell out of that bike and pop wheelies and all kinds of other stuff, doing stunts and tricks. And if the person you're dealing with can't vibe with your stunts and tricks, you already know they ain't for you. Everybody's not for you. Your relationships are failing because you think everybody's for you just because you catch a vibe. We caught a vibe. Let's be friends. No, we caught a vibe, and that was beautiful. See you in the next lifetime. That's why they say, you meet somebody and you just let it go. And then if you meet them again, it's meant to be. Those type of situations. Just because you catch a vibe with someone, that does not make that someone your lifetime partner. That just means you had a dope-ass experience with them. Let it lay there. Let it stay there. And I understand we're trying to make friendships out here, so you can go ahead and exchange information. And when I say leave it there, leave the expectations there. Lead with the standards. Does this person have the standards necessary to continue in your orbit? You'll find out the next time. Do you catch the vibe? You find out the next time. Did you catch the vibe? And if there's a time that you can't catch the vibe, that's when you speak up and you be assertive. But even before that, you laid the ground rules down. Guys are so quick to shut us down when we're trying to put the ground rules down and we're trying to put our standards down. Nah, you're doing too much. What are your thoughts on marriage? What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on that? No, put your ground rules down. Let them know. I expect open and honest communication. Is that something you're capable of? I understand this conversation may feel like it's too soon, but why would this conversation be too soon if we're deciding if we want to be in each other's lives? Before we waste either of our time, we need to know, are we on the same page? This conversation needs to happen first date. You know what I'm saying? And it's how you broach the conversation, how you approach it. You ain't gonna be like, okay, let's have this conversation. So do you want children? No, you don't have to come off like that and be like, yo, what are your thoughts and ideas of having open and honest communication? Are you okay with having the tough conversations? Just lead them into it. You're like, yeah, I like having the tough conversations. Okay. Because I would like to, I feel it's important for each of us to kind of state our expectations, our standards, however, whatever language you want to use up front. Is that something that and you could say, the reason why I believe that's important, because I don't want to look up 2 years from now, 6 months from now, even, because my time is valuable. I don't want to look up 6 months from now and realize we wasted each other's time when we could have been out enjoying ourselves with people that bring us joy. How do you feel about that? And they're going to say, okay, that sounds good, because you're explaining the theory behind what you're saying. You're not just saying, do you want kids? You're saying, I want to align myself with someone who wants to have children one day, or I want to align myself with someone who's okay with never having children because I don't want them. So I want to have the conversation early so that our feelings aren't in it, so that we don't, we're not married and I find these things out, all these different things. So it's all about how you shape it up. But it needs to be said in order for a healthy relationship to establish. So the second person that I identified as a teacher, after the community member said I have a message for them, after the other teacher in that relationship burning so bright and so heavy, and then, and I kept just saying, it's so weird how that relationship ended. It's so weird. I can't even put my finger on why, I know why it ended, but it was just weird. I've never seen anything like it, but maybe it's always happened. But because the way that it happened was communicational, they didn't communicate to me. They just ghosted me, or, they started acting funny towards me, and I drew my own conclusion and created my own narrative in my head. And so things went that way, the way that it goes, how they typically go. This is the first time that I had a friendship ending conversation, and I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I was like, okay, I understand what's going on. Thank you for giving me this understanding. Thank you for caring enough about me to give me this understanding. Because if you're my friend, how can you decide this friendship is over? How weak was our friendship if you can't even communicate to me that this friendship is over? But I'm sure during that friendship, you told me you loved me, you at least liked me. During those friendship, you called me your sis. During that friendship, there's a lot of things that would allude to the day that you decide that our friendship is over, you would at least give me the basic respect to let me know that our friendship is over. You let your fam know, you let your friend know, you let your sis know, you let your sister know, you let someone you love know. How shallow is your love if you feel someone that is your friend is not worthy to know that you no longer want to be their friend? Something to consider. So anyway, the second teacher I have identified, and because I have learned from the previous friendship that came to an end to state my standards up front, that it's okay to say, these are the things that I like, or these are the things that I don't like. It's okay. We don't say those things because we don't want to run people off. We'll say something is better than nothing. Having a relationship and having someone in my life that is not giving me what I need is better than not having anyone at all. That's not true. Having someone who respects you and treats you the way that you deserve is better than anything. And so with this person, I messaged them. I was like, I'm going to tell her I finally identified who she is in my life, because I've already stated to her, and she stated to me that, we're both under the understanding that this relationship can end whenever this relationship ends. So we're going to enjoy what we have now. We said that up front, so we don't have to have that uncomfortable conversation later. You guys want to avoid the closure conversation? Have the closure conversation in the beginning. I.e., I'm so excited that we're able to connect. I don't know how this is going to end, but if it does end, I'm going to make sure that we enjoy every single moment that we have. You have to put a positive spin on everything for people to be receptive, because we all have shared experiences, i.e., we all have relationships that end. We all do. There's a difference between coming into a relationship and saying, you know, I'm sure in a couple weeks we won't be friends anymore, but let's go. No. You can say the same but different. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't know what this is. I don't know if we're lifelong friends. I don't know if we're just passing through each other's lives. I don't know. But I do know that I'm going to value what we do have. And if and when it ends, I'm going to appreciate what we have. You said the exact same thing, but you said it in a way that the person is now receptive, where they're like, yeah, I've had friendships and relationships end, and, you know, if this does end, cool. You know, they're okay with the ending. So if you're not wanting to have closure conversations, give the conversation up front. That way, when it ends, you can ghost them. You're not ghosting them because you let them know in the beginning. And you can even say, you know, this relationship's not feeling good to me, so I'm going to exit. And they already know your standards because you set them up front. That's why standards go on the front end. They don't go on the back end. So with my friend that I identified as a teacher, I messaged her and I was just like, I figured out who you are to me. You're a teacher. The first person came into my life to evolve me spiritually. Because at the time when I met them, I thought that spirituality had a set of rules, that there was levels. Now there's levels in the respect that what I'm going through, somebody has already gone through, so they can look and they can say, okay, I can help guide you through this because I've been through this already. And I can help others guide them. I can help others and guide them through it because I can look at them and be like, okay, yep, I did that. Yep, I did that. Yep, I did that. I know where you're headed because I checked all the exact same boxes. To the point where this young lady, I think that I'm her spiritual teacher and she is my relationship teacher. Because this young lady was like, you know, I found, what's that book called? What is that book called? The Four Agreements. I found the Four Agreements at Five Below and I bought it and I'm committed to actually living the principles out. I was like, that's so cute. I'm the proud mom with the mug, you know, with the little face, that meme that goes around, that little kid with the mug. And the caption says, Mom on Christmas morning. I'm the proud mom. Why? Because I did the exact same thing. I've had the Four Agreements in a physical copy. I had the Four Agreements in a physical copy and I gave it away. Had the Four Agreements in a physical copy and I gave it away. And I downloaded it audio and actually listened to it. But at the time that I finally listened to it, I committed to living the principles. So when this young lady said, you know, I found the Four Agreements at the Five Below and I'm committed to living the principles out, I was like, I see where you're headed with that. Why? Because I've done it. So now I can guide her through because she's taken the same steps I took. And it's not even specifically the book. I don't want you to get fixated on they're doing exactly what I did. No, she decided to hone in on a specific teaching, which is what I did. My being able to harness and control what I believe to be harnessing and controlling, I believe there's a deeper level to everything. But for me to become comfortable with my connection to my higher self, my connection to source, my connection to my ancestors, my connection to my soul, and to start really opening up and even identifying that I have a soul. I didn't know that I had a soul before I knew that we were duality. I cover that in my book, What's the Best That Can Happen, available at LoneeTaylorArt.com or Amazon. Just make sure the seller is Lonee Taylor. I knew that we were duality. This is supposed to be a 2-part series, the beginning being. Because I understood that we were human, the physical experience, and I understood that we were being, the spiritual experience. But now I'm fully understanding what's going on in that our soul needs to be identified and our soul needs to have a name. Our soul is what goes through incarnation, reincarnation. That's our, oh, she's an old soul. That's where that comes from. But we ignore our soul and we pay attention to our spirit, which is our current incarnation, Lonee. We pay attention and we feed our current incarnation because that's what we can see. We tend to only believe what we can see because we're so disconnected from our divinity. And I just wanted to bar. But we're so disconnected to our spirit self that we ignore it. And so I had to learn, as I've been going through my journey here publicly on TikTok, is our spirit self or our soul not only needs to be identified, you should name it. I say you name your soul because once your soul has a name, you no longer ignore it. Think about a bird that comes and visits you every morning. It's just a bird and you don't pay the attention. But once you give that bird a name and the bird shows up, you're like, hey, Bob. Hey, Bob the bird. You know, when you start building a relationship with Bob the bird, you start looking forward to seeing Bob the bird. When you see Bob the bird makes you smile. Why? Because you named Bob. Why not name your soul? Name your soul. Give it an identity. And once you name your soul and you give your soul an identity, now it can grow. Now it can get power. You can stop ignoring it. So when I met this first teacher is in a space where I identified that my soul had been neglected and ignored. And no.
You like a pizza after you done pizza for you?
Okay. We'll tell Daddy to get us pizza for dinner, okay? Please don't step on my light. Please respect me and don't step on my light.
What is this?
It's trash. I don't know. It came from under the bed.
Do you have them under your pillow?
No, I don't have any under my pillow. It came from under the bed because it didn't get swept up the last time I swept the bed. You know, so once you identify your soul and you let your soul have an identity, now you can start feeding it. And now you can start surrounding yourself with people who can feed your soul. And now you can start living your life purposefully because you understand my soul needs to be fed, meaning all of this topical, superficial stuff no longer interests you. All of this topical, superficial stuff is what you escape or you decompress. Escape means that there's something to escape from, but you decompress, you disconnect. You know, there's times that I just want to veg out, not use my brain, and do some mindless stuff. So, you know, in the past, I would hop on to gossip blogs, or I would, you know, go watch some true crime, or I'll go watch a K-drama, or I'll do all those things and I could disconnect. But just because my soul and my spirit are like this now, they used to be like this, but now they're like this, I can't even do anything without soaking up game. Life is a classroom. Soak up game. T-shirt available at LoneeTaylorArt.com. Support the community. Pick up your merch. Support the community. Tip the jar. Support the community by double tapping that screen and let me know you appreciate what's going on here. So we have our different teachers in our lives, and she taught me spiritual growth. She taught me to remove the restrictions that I had on my idea that spirituality was in order of steps. It's not. It's relationship. And there is no hierarchy in it. Yes, I've been on my spiritual path longer than my husband, but the way that things are awakening and opening up for him may awaken and open up for me completely different. Please get out of my closet and turn off the light. May awaken in
Then I have some cookies.
Some what?
Some cookies.
Didn't you just have some cheese crackers? Daddy gave you some cheese crackers? So you're not hungry, you're just snacking. No, and please step out so Mommy can finish.
I need to poop.
And so, you know, the second friend that I identified, she's helping me in my relationships and my communication with my husband. And this is an important conversation to have because typically the person that is a teacher for you is someone who has something that you want. And the unfortunate thing that happens in our society is we see someone who is succeeding or experiencing something that we want, and we have jealousy and we have envy That jealousy and that envy is what keeps us separate from the people that could potentially teach us how to get what we want. If you see someone who has what you desire, if you see someone who has what you want, go ask them how they got it. And again, that's when, you have a teacher and potentially you have to form a friendship in order to get that information. And that's not you being deceptive or any of those things. You two were brought together for a reason. But also, boom, back to high school. Me and my best friend, who we are friends till this day, came together because I needed a ride home from school and she had a car. So I wasn't being deceptive. She just feels something for me and she allowed me in. She allowed me in because I probably did something for her. Why are we letting anybody in that has no value? Everyone who we allow to enter our lives needs to bring some sort of value. We should not be looking for relationships and we should not be allowing relationships that have zero value. So for us to say you shouldn't build a relationship based off of a need or a want, so what are we basing the relationship off of? You ain't got nothing to offer, but I want to be your friend? You have to appeal to my current incarnation. You have to appeal to my spirit self somehow. And once you appeal to my spirit self, it's probably because there's something that I want from you or there's something that I need from you. Now we can start building a soul connection in a deeper meaning. So if you identify someone that has something that you need from them, get in there and get that information. Don't stand in envy. Don't stand in jealousy. Don't stand in, this much or thinking that they're special. We're all humans and we all have human capabilities. We all are capable of achieving whatever it is that we came to this earth to achieve. And when we see someone who comes into our trajectory or our path and they evoke some sort of emotion from us, that means that they are demonstrating something that we are potentially capable of. And this is a working theory. But remember, all these conversations are happening around us in life. All these conversations, all this movement is happening around us, but we only pay attention to certain things. Why are we only paying attention to those certain things? Because those are certain things that we need in order to move progressively through this lifetime. So if someone comes before you and you pay attention to them, you're paying attention to them for a reason. So it is our job to figure out why we're paying attention to that and make it value add to our life. So this young lady, she's telling me about her relationship with her husband and how they communicate and all these different things. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, I wish I could communicate with my husband that way. And these aren't feelings that I am presently experiencing, but these are feelings because my life is a classroom. Now I'm having this conversation with this young lady, and I am just aware of how all these feelings can go. By this young lady explaining to me about, the cohesive nature of her relationship and how she could talk to her husband about anything. And, there was a time in their relationship where she thought what he was talking about was stupid. And there's time in my relationship or his relationship where he thought what she was talking about was dumb, but they did the work in order to be able to respect each other's thoughts and opinions and actually entertain each other's thoughts and opinions. And I was like, man, that's amazing. And I understand some people would hear her talking about that and will either say she's lying because they never experienced it. So because I've never experienced that, there is no way you're experiencing that. That way we are projecting our limited views and perceptions of life on them. So instead of seeing the possibilities, we are automatically thinking this person must be making something up. So we are limited in our possibilities instead of seeing the possibilities. The second thing that people do is they experience... Cut it out, Kaden! The second thing that people do is they experience jealousy and envy. You sitting here telling me about how, wonderful the communication is between you and your spouse. And I want that. And I don't have it. Either I don't have the spouse or I have the spouse, but I don't have the communication. So instead of, again, looking at you as the possibilities of what's possible, I'm looking at it as the limitations and something that I don't have. And now I have jealousy and I have envy. And now there's an issue between you and me, but we're friends. And instead of communicating that to your friend, be like, yo, when you told me about when you and your spouse have such amazing communication, that kind of made me feel a sort of way because I'm not experiencing that. And I just want to communicate that to you. That is letting your friend know to not talk about that around you anymore. I think that's far better than allowing someone to say something that makes you feel a kind of way and you just continue to allow it, and now you start building resentments towards your friend. I think it's far better to say, yo, this made me uncomfortable versus not saying anything and allowing your friend to continue to make you feel uncomfortable. And now you're starting to create distance between your friend when all you had to do was say, yo, when you talked about your connection with your spouse, that kind of made me feel jealous because I don't have that connection. So if you think you could not talk about that anymore around me, then that's cool. And if they respond to you like, girl, you petty as fuck, then you already know this friendship is over. Like, you know, I understand you. I'm trying to give you my handle with care instructions, or I'm trying to tell you what I need to be okay in this relationship, and you're discounting it. So I'm going to have to step away. Now, when you're creating distance, they're aware of why you're creating distance, and they can choose to respect you, which can then resume the relationship, or they can choose to continue along their path, and now you know the relationship is over. Communication is key. They say communication is the most important thing in intimate relationships. Communication is the most important thing in relationships, period. Get your sister support merch at LoneeTaylorArt.com. And so the other way that someone can respond to you talking about something that you're experiencing on the positive that they're not experiencing is they can look at you as a teacher. Stop it! Well, then ask for help instead of trying to break it. You got it? And they can look at you as a teacher. So now you're a teacher that they can learn from. And again, with the bond of the friendship that you have, you can now say, yo, I just identified you as a teacher. I know that you're experiencing something that I desire in a relationship. No, go wash your hands and leave, please. You know, I desire this in my relationship, and I see this is something that you achieved. Can you teach me? How did you come to a space? Stop it! You're being disrespectful, and I'm not in the mood today. Wash your hands and leave my room. And so you're able to say, you know, you're experiencing something that I would like to experience in my life. Do you mind telling me the steps that you took to experience that? And they're either going to say yes or they're going to say no. But guess what? The beautiful thing of identifying somebody as a teacher, all you got to do is observe them. All you got to do is watch them. And the even more beautiful thing, that if you're evolved enough to understand that people are teachers, you are evolved enough to understand your connectivity to higher self. So you ain't even got to look at that person to teach you anything. All you got to do is say, boom, I want a better communication relationship with my spouse. Universe, teach me. And universe is like, boom, I've been waiting for you to ask. And the opportunities for you to grow in communication and grow in appreciation for your spouse will present themselves off top. Something that I realized now, identifying this individual as a teacher for me to help me grow in love and communication with my spouse, something that I identified was there's always levels to this. We don't just power through growth. We can't just power through growth. Like I said, the flower was like this. And in the morning, the flower was like this. But we have to understand that it didn't go boop, boop. It was a process. second by second, moment by moment. Yes, it happened overnight, but it was, if you were to frame by frame the opening of a flower, you would see it wasn't like boop, boop. It was. So as you are developing or evolving a new stage in your life, it's. So we can't just, me and my husband have communication issues solved. No, we have to level. And this is what I came into understanding with, because me and my husband, we used to talk to each other any kind of way. In our first stage in going from like this to communication, I thought it was from this to this. It's from this to this. The first stage in our communication was, hey, we need to just stop talking to each other recklessly. He was like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with how I talk to you, and there's nothing wrong with the way that you talk to me. And I was just like, yeah. Because we allow each other just to say anything to each other, and that's not something that we should allow. I want you to speak loving to me 80% of the time, and 20% of the time you can say whatever the hell you want to. The way that we were functioning before was 80% of the time we said whatever the heck we want to, and 20% of the time we spoke loving. I want to say 90% of the time we said whatever the heck we wanted to each other, and 10% of the time we spoke lovingly to each other. I was like, I want to flip that. I want to speak in love as often as possible. And so that was a difficult battle, because my husband did not see anything wrong with how he spoke to me. He was like, I've been speaking to you like this for 6 years, and you never had a problem with it. Why do you have a problem with it now? And I said, I don't have a problem with it. I just see that it can be better. Don't we want better? We should both want better. If we can be more in love with each other, why shouldn't we seek that? And so that was our first hurdle in the communication space. And we were able to overcome that, and there was a lot of that was unnecessary. I'm just saying, well, you should stop just saying. You should actually think before you speak. And the way that was hurtful to me. You're so sensitive. I am sensitive. Why is being sensitive to bad behavior and mistreatment, why is that a negative? It's okay that I'm sensitive. You should change how you speak to me. You can speak however you want to speak to everybody out there who doesn't have standards of how they're spoken to. They have standards, but their bar is low. You know what I'm saying? My bar is high now. It was low. But now that I know that I could speak and be spoken to differently, please get out of my bathroom. There's nothing in there that's a toy. Now that I know that I could be spoken to differently, that's what I want. My bar has been raised. And those who value your relationship will evolve with you. And those who don't value the relationship, whether you value it or not, you don't keep people in your life because you value them. You keep people in your life because they value you. You don't build relationships with anyone who doesn't value you. That's how you're ending up with heartbreak, and that's how you're ending up with your feelings hurt, because you are building relationships with people who never showed you that they valued you, but you valued them. And so now you're chasing them, and you're trying to say, hey, I don't want to chase you. I want an equal, fair relationship. And they're like, I can't give you an equal and fair relationship. I don't value you. So that's you setting your standards up front. So anyway, me and my husband, we overcame the first communication obstacle, and I really thought that was the end of it, until I now have met an individual who has an amazing communication and understanding with their partner. A couple of lives back, I've said I'm emotionally cheating on my husband. And, the young ladies in the chat where they were just like, I don't think you're emotionally cheating. These relationships are necessary, blah, 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 blah. I was like, I understand what you're saying, but if this individual were a male, which is the gender that I'm attracted to, if this individual was a male and I was having these conversations with them and when I was talking to my husband about it, he was like, well, what the hell are y'all talking about? I was like, we can be talking about the weather, but the way that we're talking about the weather, I'm able to theorize with them and I'm able to have a soul connection with them because I am a deep thinker. So if I can find someone that I can think deeply with and experience something that I cannot experience with my spouse, for me, that's problematic. To me, that's emotionally stepping out of my relationship and creating an emotional attachment to someone else outside of my spouse. To me, that's problematic. Because if my husband did that with someone of the gender that he's attracted to, i.e. a female, I would have a problem. I would have a problem with my husband spending hours in conversation with someone while he's lying right next to me. And he should have a problem with me spending hours in conversation with him while I'm laying right next to him. Now, we allow it because the person that the person is spending hours in conversation with is the same gender, and there's no chance of a physical interaction taking place. But that doesn't change the fact that your spouse has now found someone else to have intimate conversations with, and we erroneously associate intimacy with physicality. No, intimacy is an energy. Me sitting here speaking into this camera, this is an intimate moment. This is me sharing my thoughts and philosophies, and this ain't no topical stuff. This is some real life, evolve your life stuff. This is intimacy. This is personal. This is evolutionary. And I don't want my spouse allowing someone to penetrate their mind. Caden, get out of my bathroom now. Allowing someone to penetrate their mind to the point where they're influencing their thinking, influencing their speaking, influencing their behaviors. That means they have made a connection somewhere outside of me. And that's why when it's their friends, why are you always listening to your friends? Because I can talk to my friends and my friends can influence my thinking, influence my speaking, influence my being. I can't talk to you. You can't influence it because when I do try to talk to you, you shut me down. You tell me I'm thinking too much. You say what I'm talking about is stupid. So now I must go find somebody else. But then you have a problem with me because I have found someone else to talk to that influences my thinking, influences my speaking, influences my being. So we have to pay attention to that. Historically, they've told us that our partner should be over there and we should be over there. No, if you have chosen to spend forever with someone, see, we're allowing friendships to go on a lot longer than they should. Why? Because the person we have chosen to spend forever with is someone that we can't connect with. Sure, the sex is good, but I warn you, as men age, so does that pain. So if all you have in common is sex, it's going to be a long forever. And I've had several relationships where all we had in common was sex. For them to say that you must be this perfect being in front of your spouse and you show no flaws, that means that you have to either never show your flaws, which is adding unnecessary stress to your heart and to your mind. It's also dimming your light and making you incapable of growth because it is in our flaws that we are able to grow. I talk about that in my book, What's the Best That Can Happen? You must identify your shortcomings in order to overcome them. That's why when the young lady who asked me earlier what type of teacher I was, and I was like, I was a gifted and talented teacher, and I was to teach the children how to use their strengths in practical ways. But just because you're mathematically inclined doesn't mean that you're linguistically inclined. But my projects were to challenge the creativity, the math, the language, the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I had to create learning opportunities so that these children could cultivate all sides of them. They can grow in their strengths, but they can also grow in their weaknesses. So if you have to be perfect in front of your spouse, the most intimate relationship in your life, and you are not able to admit your flaws, that means you are impeding your growth. And if you are with someone that wants you to present perfect, or who does not listen to your wants and needs, and who does not support you the way that you need to be supported emotionally because you're thinking too much, or that's dumb, or whatever that is, they are impeding your growth. They're impeding their growth. Because if they think that your exploration and deep thoughts are stupid, then the chances are that they're not having exploration or deep thoughts either, which means they're not growing either. And you have to determine if this is the space that you choose to remain. And so I thought that the level of communication that me and my husband got was, we're no longer talking stupid to each other. We're uplifting. We're supporting each other. And I thought that was the boom. But then I met this individual and I realized that they're a teacher, because in all the conversation that we've been having, yes, growth. But they finally said something that I attached to. And I was like, this is the message you have for me. And so when that community member said, I follow you because I believe you have a message for me, I'm sure everything that I've said, growth. But eventually I'm going to say something like, bingo, that's the message you have for me. So this individual that I'm talking to, growth. But I finally said, bingo, that's why you're in my life. You are here to help me evolve my relationship, my communication within my relationship, because you shared with me the type of communication that you have with your husband, and I want that too. So you're here to demonstrate. And this person that I'm talking to is aware enough in themselves to document, even mentally, how they did something. So they're able to say, yeah, we used to, go back and forth and misunderstandings and all those things. And we had to sit down and say, yo, this isn't how we want to communicate with each other. So let's start doing these things. And they don't have to give you a complete blueprint, because again, every evolutionary thing is personal. How they function in their relationship does not need to be how I function in my relationship. That's another error that we make in our relationships. We go and we try to replicate or duplicate what somebody else is doing in their relationship. What somebody else tells you what they did to achieve what they did, now you must take that, digest it, get rid of what's not for you, and implement what's going to elevate you. So therefore, what she did to repair her relationship, they're just letting me know it's possible. They're just letting me know you can go from this to this. That's what that is. It's possible. The possibilities. Now I can take those possibilities over to my husband. And because we went from here to here in our conversation, i.e., stop talking to me stupid and stop being negative and playing the dozens and being on my head all the time. Say some loving stuff. Tell me I look beautiful. Before you tell me my ass is flat now, tell me I'm beautiful. You just wish my booty was more plump. Me too. You know what I'm saying? So love on me a little bit more, and I'll love on you a little bit more. So we went from this to this, but now she's teaching me this. And I have realized that our evolution and our change isn't just a one-off thing. It's a forever thing. There's always going to be an area of improvement in every aspect of your life. I can always become a better mother. I can always become a better wife. I can always become a better human. I can always become better in how I interact with other people. I can always become better. And as I become better, I become better. And so I have implemented in my relationship, because we went from here where my husband was completely closed off to changing anything about our communication style. Because I'm 48 years old, I've been communicating this way my whole life. Why do I need to start communicating differently now? I've been talking to you the way that I've been talking to you our whole relationship. Why do I have to start taking? You've been okay with how I talk to you. Why do I got to start taking to you now? And then I don't even know how to talk to you anymore. Like, we went through it. And I share that because if you're trying to implement a change in your life and your spouse is fighting you, but they have a teachable spirit. My husband has a teachable spirit. But now we know to have those conversations up front where we're like, yo, do you have a teachable spirit? How do you feel about change? Because I may change in this relationship and I need to know if you're going to be okay with that. And you may change in this relationship, but I'm letting you know that I do have a teachable spirit and I'm okay with that. And if they lie and tell you, you're like, look, boom, remember our first conversation when I asked you if you had a teachable spirit and you said you do, but you're demonstrating to me that you don't. So I'm going to have to end this relationship because this is very important to me. I need somebody who is capable of allowing evolution and change, but I need someone who's capable of evolution and change, because to believe that we are going to lock ourselves into an existence from the moment that we come together, which means me and my husband met in 2010. We got together in 2016. That means in 2023, why are we still moving like we moved in 2010? Because we locked into an energy between us. But that's not realistic. We cannot maintain that energy and be successful. We cannot maintain the same mentality and be successful. We cannot speak to each other the same way and still be successful, because regardless of if we are open to evolution and change, we are evolving and we are changing. So we can be knowledgeable and acknowledge it, or we can deny it, but it's still happening. I just need to know, are you aware that we're evolving and changing all the time? And are you open to it? Because if you're aware and you're open to it, then we can do some things. Then I'm able to correct you and you're able to correct me, and we're able to do what's necessary to successfully, peacefully remain in each other's lives. So if they lie, that's a deal breaker. Because not only are they a liar, which you already stated in your standards up front, I like to have honest conversations. There's no need for deception. Please be authentic with me. Is that something you're able to do? If they say yes and then they prove to be inauthentic, they have an opportunity to correct it if you value the relationship. If I value the relationship, I recognize that you're lying to me. And I stated my standards up front, to not lie, to always tell the truth, regardless of what the fallout is. And I see that you're lying. So you have an opportunity to correct this behavior. And if the second time they do it, then that is your opportunity to exit stage left. Ever evolving, ever changing. And so I told my husband, because I went from him not being open to changing how he speaks to me, now he's no longer fighting me when I come to these evolution and changing things. Somebody said, compare change to, I think, levels in school. Just like you go from, hey Trinity, just like you go from, grade to grade to grade, progressively learning, progressively changing, building on the foundation that you built the last year. I think they said, or this just may be the connection that I'm making based off of what they said. But if you approach your spouse who is against change with something that changes over time, like grades in school, grades in school, you're evolving from level to level to level. You're building upon foundation to foundation. So if you see change is possible there, then you should be able to see the possibilities of change in your own personal life and see that we can grow together and become one. And so once they're open and receptive to change, which now my husband is open and receptive to change. Yesterday when I came to him and I was like, hey, I would like to implement 30 days of us, when you come home from work, the first 30 minutes of you coming home from work, let's just talk. Whatever that talking about looks like, let's just talk. We both put our phones down and we talk about whatever you want to talk about. We talk about whatever I want to talk about. And we learn how to talk to each other. Because something that I started because I told my husband that I was emotionally cheating on him. I told him that I found someone to talk to because I can't talk to him. And I was like, I would like for the person that I talk to be you. If we are going to do forever, I don't want to hold on to a dead relationship because this person is a person I could talk to. I don't want to hold on to this external relationship. I don't want to maintain a friendship longer than its expiration date just because I want to keep somebody I could talk to. This individual has come into my life and I understand that they are a teacher, which means they are in here for a reason and a season. They are not here for a lifetime. And I accept that. Now, they might be here for a lifetime, and that's beautiful because I really like this person. I would love for us to grow together and kiki together and continue to evolve each other. And that may be what it is. I don't know. But I don't want to have to hold on to this relationship simply because I can't get what I need from my spouse. But I could communicate to my spouse and say, yo, I went and found a deficit. I went and found a need that you're not fulfilling. And because you're my forever and the only constant in my life will be you. All of these friends are not guaranteed. What is guaranteed, because I know how solid me and my husband are forever, even though I have threatened divorce and I'm working on that. That is me being in survival mode. I'm trying to figure out how I am in survival mode so I can heal that, so I can kick myself up out of survival mode and I can feel secure in my relationship. My husband isn't doing anything to make me feel insecure in my relationship. I just am in what my friend has identified as survival mode, which means I don't feel secure. So there's something that I have to identify within myself to feel secure in life, not just in this relationship, in life. Anything happens and I'm out, period. You know what I'm saying? I don't get my way, I'm out. It doesn't feel good, I'm out. No, there's some work that needs to be done. And I believe in order to get there, God is revealing to me this friendship stuff and this relationship stuff and this communication stuff because it's key. And those of you who have been rocking with me, you'll realize that my messages go in theme. I'm talking about femininity. I'm talking about, asserting yourself. I'm talking about knowing who the fuck you are. I'm talking about, confidence versus, not cockiness. What's the word? Conceit. Confidence versus conceit. I'm doing all of these messages that are centered around a specific thing. And right now, I have just been all about friendships. I haven't recorded any videos about friendships, but I have been talking with some about friendships. I'm like, I need to write a goddamn book because this is so just weedy and just tangled and it just needs to be unraveled. And I believe I'm unraveling it right now. But in order to unravel this, I believe that it's also going to help me figure out this survival mode thing because I put the intentions out there that I want to understand what it is to be in survival mode and how I can get myself out of it. And if I figure out how to get myself out of survival mode, you already know I'm coming to the community and we're going to get our asses up out of survival mode. But 30 days of us just having intimate conversations. And intimate conversations is him just sharing his thoughts and ideas with me and I sharing my thoughts and ideas with him. And I even started yesterday. We're going to start today with our 30 days. I introduced it yesterday, so I'm giving him time to be okay. Not just as soon as you get home, let's talk. I'm giving him time to ease into it. But what I've also did was I started making the changes necessary. He says that I'm long-winded and it just sounds like I'm preaching at him. I was like, okay, I understand. But I'm not going to speak and communicate in the way that brings me joy. But what I can do is alter the way that I speak and communicate in the way that brings me joy, i.e., I can say something and pause and allow him to speak. Not me speaking at him, not me lecturing him. You can be in a good lecture, you don't want to be lectured by your spouse. And I recognize that. I had to find it. I had to get over my offense in choosing to be offended by my husband and understand he's communicating his standard with care instructions. He's telling me, I don't mind listening to you, but you sitting here and just going on and on and on is too much. And of course I got offended, and I received it as him just telling me he doesn't want to hear what I say and to shut up. And even though he's saying that's not what I'm saying, I was like, well, you're not saying anything else to help me figure anything else out, so I'm going to receive it how I receive it. But now that I've elevated just a little bit and I got out of my feelings, I'm like, okay, he's saying it's okay for me to communicate. I just have to figure out how to effectively communicate. So I tried it out the other night where, I just said a little bit and I paused and I just got quiet and he responded. And now I'm able to respond to his response instead of me just harping at him. And I don't know if he was okay with talking to me and he allowed me to talk in that space because I told him that I found somebody else that I could talk to. So he was like, well, let me give her somebody to talk to. I'll talk to her a little bit. I don't know if that was a byproduct of that or it was me saying a little bit, allowing him to speak, saying a little bit more, allowing him to speak. And now we're having a conversation instead of me long-windedly talking at him. Something else that helped me come to that realization, everything is a teacher if you pay attention. This individual that I talked to, they write, I do too, but I figured out I need to break them up because I would see when they write these long ass messages, they would actually give me anxiety because I was just like, this is so much to digest, there's so much to read. And if I click off of this, then I gotta scroll back up through all the messages, refine that message, refine my spot, and continue on from there. So now I'm just powering through this long ass message and reading all these points where I'm like, that's valid, that's valid, that's valid. I want to respond, but I don't want to lose my spot. So I am powering through and I'm taking in all this information. I was like, this is too much. This is beautifully delicious information and it is feeding my soul and I'm so excited about it, but it's too much at once. Boom, make a connection. And I told her, can you please break that up? And she was respectful. She's respectful and receptive of my handle with care instructions. She did not get offended and say, no, what, you got a problem with the way that I communicate? No, she said, I will try. I will make an effort. I understand. Because the way that I said it, I was like, I'm trying to digest and respond to everything you're saying. But because you say so much in one message, I can't truly appreciate what you're saying. And I can't give you the feedback that I know that you deserve because it's all too much. And because I said it that way, I didn't say it like she was a problem or she was doing something wrong. I said it in a way that was like, I want to appreciate your effort. Like you sitting down and writing all this, clearly you did it from a space of, you wanted to. And I want to appreciate it, but I can't because it's too much. So because I approached her in a way that is respectable to her and asking her to respect me with my standard of care instructions, now she's receptive and she's altering her behavior. And now we can continue on in our friendship. If she chose to get offended and she chose to continue on her path, then I could decide her sending these long ass messages is just a deal breaker for me. It's not. But I communicated. Boom. But in identifying that it was all good information, it was just too much at once. Now when I'm talking to my husband and I'm like, why are you telling me to shut up? I'm literally feeding into you. I'm literally telling you how amazing you are. I'm literally telling you our future and how beautiful our future is going to be. And you're telling me it's too much. It's all good information, but you're telling me it's too much. Damn, I encountered that with this chick. It's all good information, but it's too much at once. So how about you break it up? Lonnie, how about you break it up? This is good. This is good. This is tip jar worthy. I'm just saying. And so by requesting someone else to change how they deal with me, I was actually listening to my husband, who wasn't telling me how to solve the problem. He was just identifying the problem, but I solved it for us. So now when I speak to my husband, I say a little bit, break it up. Welcome back, sis. Say a little bit, break it up. Allow him to respond to that piece. Say a little bit, break it up. Allow him to respond to that piece. And that seems to be effective in our communication. And so what I did for him was, he's into politics. Donald Trump just got arrested. So I overheard that on CNN. And I was like, what? He got arrested? He was like, yeah, for the second or third time. I don't know how many times he's been arrested. I was like, yo, that's crazy. What do you think about that? So I could give a less about politics. I really could. That's just a moneymaker, smoke and mirrors situation. But I don't talk about politics here. But all I will say is I don't care about him. But he does. So if I want him to stop thinking the things that I find interesting and important are stupid, I need to stop finding the things that he finds interesting and important as stupid. At the beginning of the live, I said, if you choose to ghost people, you are setting your standards, which means you are saying this behavior is okay with me. So I'm okay with receiving these behaviors. Because if you are not okay with receiving a particular behavior, why are you giving that behavior? You should only give what you're okay with being received. That made sense somehow. You should only give what you're okay with receiving. Boom, there it goes. That B was unnecessary. You should only do what you're okay with receiving. You should treat people how you want to be treated. Not do unto others as they do unto you. Because if you do unto others as they do unto you, but then we go back to you teach people how to treat you, are you teaching them to treat you the way that they treat you, which is mistreatment? Hey, Pat, which is mistreatment. Or are you going to teach them your standard of care? And so I am choosing to teach my standard of care. I am choosing to elevate those around me because they have teachable spirits. And because I am choosing to do that, now our relationships can continue on a healthy plane versus what we've been doing in the past. So that's all I got. Pat, you missed the meat and potatoes. I'm doing the glass of water and the lemon on the side now. I don't have anything else to say, but we can always round into something else. But I think I did a good job of explaining, girl, you was working, you was handling your business. You should have put me on in the background. Your client would have appreciated this teaching, I'm sure of it. But yeah. Me and my husband are going to try these 30 days. Yes, please share me with your network. So go and turn me on and just let me play in the background. And they're going to be like, who the heck is that? And you're like, oh, girl, that's Lonee Appleton. You should get to know her. Me and my husband, we're going to do these 30 days of communication. Any new thing that I implement in our relationship, I'm always like 30 days, 30 days, 30 days. I'm not trying to change you forever. Just give me 30 days. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. What do you say? Because men usually don't. I do actually have a few men in the community. So, but most men are like, what the hell? Hey, cat mama. And so everything is 30 days. Because I don't want my husband to feel like I'm trying to change him. But I was just like, you could try it for 30 days. Do you love me enough to give me 30 days? And, most of our spouses will say, okay. And in 30 days, even if they want to give you that kickback, you're like, you told me I get 30 days. Like, we doing 30 days or no? And it may be a fight. But release and allow. And he'll see how he has hurt you, or she'll see how they have hurt you, and then they can self-correct. And if they choose not to self-correct when it comes to you, your forever, then there's something to evaluate there. He said, "Who's that?" and smiled a little. He was playing the game ear hustling. I ain't mad at the ear hustle. Shoot. See, this is what I say. You have to invite your spouse into your learning in your space. Most of our spouses, most of our friends, and this is the phenomenon that I have identified with the Sister Support Network. I've identified that, my community will purchase this book a lot sooner than they'll purchase this book. And I don't know why. Haven't figured it out. Maybe universe is teaching me now. But the same phenomenon is in our relationships. Our spouses will sooner listen to an external source than they are. Oh, girl, yes. It's out there. It's been out there since 2013, so it is available on LoneeTaylorArt.com or Amazon. Lonee Taylor the seller. Thank you for that plug, sis. Boom. You alley-ooped and I was like, much appreciated. Gang, gang. So our spouses will sooner listen to an external source than they will listen to us. So invite your spouse into the spaces that you're coming to and you're learning new information. Invite your spouse in. Let them ear hustle. And that's why I think it's so beautiful when my husband is willing to talk on camera. And I know the last couple lives I said, I don't know if I told y'all, but I told my husband, I'm done recording him. Since you think the videos I'm doing is stupid and you think the work that I'm doing is dumb, I took it all the way left. I'm working on that. But I'm actually thankful and in gratitude that my husband is willing to get on camera and he's willing to share his perspective. Because men just want to see other men doing it. If they see another man being okay with change, then their resistance kind of lowers themselves. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because they see another man being okay with it. They just don't want to feel like they're being a punk. And society makes our men feel like they're being a punk because they're being agreeable with their spouses. And that's not the truth at all. And so I'm thankful to him because, can you turn that sound off? So I'm thankful to him because, he's willing to show and demonstrate those things and other men are able to see it. Let's see what my other topics are today. Should you ghost people? Final conversation. We already talked about that. Interested in your spouse's interest. We already talked about that. Building trust physically, emotionally, etc. I don't even know how to go into building trust. Pat, is there something you want to talk about? Building trust physically, emotionally, etc. I don't know how to... my friend was just saying most of Black America is stuck in survival mode or the cycle of survival mode. But I'm trying to identify... I understand what survival mode is, i.e., we're just existing. Building trust. I don't even remember what happened where I wrote that note down. Pat, did you want to hop on and we can have a conversation? Or you want me just to talk? Ours is layered though. Well, I realized earlier that, flowers, we think they open like this. Like we see it and then overnight we see it like that. Hold on. Open like that, but it's really a that happens. We just don't see that. And so...
Where my picture at?
There are layers. There's layers to rebuilding. Layers to rebuilding. Layers to rebuilding. Are you there, Pat?
I'm here. I was trying to make sure I was presenting.
I can't hear you, but I see your little thing radiating, so I think that you're speaking. But oh, there she goes. Hey, Mama, I see you.
Hey, girl. You can't hear me?
I can't hear you, though.
No.
I don't know.
My earbuds suck.
Disconnect from that, girl. Girl, my...
I got kids.
Let me see. Yes, support nonprofit, pause live, mute microphone, settings. Maybe settings will help me. Comment settings, moderators, rankings, muted accounts, blocked accounts. I don't know. I don't even know how to get off the screen. How do I get the screen off? Well, I think
Hold
our
on.
come to Jesus moment won't happen, sis, because I can't hear you. Content. So if you go into things, it
Can you
says
hear me
use
now?
headphones to hear how you sound to the viewers. No, that's not what I want. Content disclosures. I don't know. I cannot
Can
hear
you hear
you.
me now?
I can't hear you.
No.
I could read your lips though.
Okay.
I
Hold
don't
on.
know. Did you disconnect your headphones?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. You look beautiful though.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. You know, we gonna do what we do.
That's right. Let me see. I don't know what to
That's
do.
crazy that I'm over here reading your lips though. You want to disconnect and try to pop back in and see what happens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I sent you an invite. Let's see what that happens.
Boy, stop all that noise. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Let's see. Nope, can't hear you.
Okay.
Dang,
I
we was
guess
about
it
to
ain't
have a
meant.
good conversation too, sis.
Girl, yes. Yes. Hold on.
I don't know.
I don't know how to do
I don't know
this.
enough about technology to even try to help you. That's all
Me
right.
either.
All right, we gonna be all right.
Showing my age.
Yeah, you keep working, sis. We gonna let you keep doing your work, and we gonna talk about rebuilding trust. How do you rebuild trust? I don't know. My trust has never been broken and rebuilt before. You know, no one's ever. Hold on. Let me go into here. Click on that. There we go. My trust has never been broken and somebody has rebuilt it. Now my trust has been broken, but I've never been in a space of rebuilding. So I don't even know. That would be, I wish we could have got you on because you could have added to that conversation. But what I was talking about earlier are different people are teachers in our lives. You know what I'm saying? So that could be a space where you could teach me because I've never actually experienced trust being broken and being rebuilt. I wish I knew where that note came from. Building trust. Well, you build trust by being solid, physically, emotionally. I don't even know. I can't even talk about that, sis, because I don't know where that that note came from. I'll have to go back and figure that out. Accepting family sets you up for accepting anything. Yeah, I was having a conversation with Angel. No, sorry, I was having a conversation with Bailey, and I was asking her, now that she's 18, yeah, we got to figure that out so we can have a conversation. I said, now that you're 18 and you see hypocrisies happening, you should feel that you have a space to say something because we make our children silence themselves in the face of hypocrisies, and that's setting them up to go out into the world and silence themselves in the face of hypocrisies. But also by forcing them like to I had an Uncle Earl, y'all. I had an Uncle Earl, and he used to give the most wet, sloppiest kisses, and it just was creepy. His energy was stay away from Uncle Earl. He had that energy, and I was a child, and I knew that. I don't know why all the adults didn't pick up on it. Now, I'm not saying that Uncle Earl ever did anything. I'm just saying Uncle Earl had that energy on him, and I stayed away from him. So, but making kids go around different people that make them uncomfortable, like, yeah, like kids are sorry, like adults know what's going on. Adults know, and they try to create normalcy because they don't want to make the offender feel offended. There's family members within my family that have done some pretty terrible things to other people, and it's not openly known. You know what I'm saying? It's a secret. And so other family members who aren't aware because it's a secret are now in a position to allow their children to go around these particular individuals, and now their children become a victim because we don't talk about these things in our family. But if we talked about these things, then maybe these things would stop replicating themselves and trauma being passed on and people growing up and turning into an R. Kelly. Because R. Kelly was never checked for his behavior. The random man in Atlanta that's going around right now, he's never been checked for his behavior. He's been allowed to go around and make baby after baby. I think we're up to 7 baby mamas now. Are y'all following that story? That story is crazy. But I will end on that point because it's 10 minutes till my completion time. But what I will say with the random man in Atlanta, that baby was a blessing beyond a blessing beyond a blessing, especially if Morgan can handle it. If these ladies, because all 7 of these ladies' lives are about to change because of that random man in Atlanta. If you knew the baby you had 9 years ago would be the reason why you now have a platform to show the world who and what you are, something you've always desired, I wonder if you would resent the fact that you had this baby with this random man in Atlanta. Because what's happening because of Morgan, and I think we're paying Morgan attention. Let's call a thing a thing. We're paying Morgan attention because she's a pretty girl and she's not black. Because being another baby mama to a black man who has abandoned his children is nothing new. But Morgan is receiving notoriety for it. And the crazy thing is Morgan is receiving notoriety for it from our community. A large number of the people who are supporting her are people who will be ignored for the exact thing she is experiencing. So maybe we just see ourselves in her and we see and we're uplifting her because it's just weird. It's just weird. It's always like that. It's sad. It's really weird. Like, nothing against us. I followed her and I'm celebrating her and I'm seeing the vision. And I told the person who introduced me to her, I was like, she needs to make some merch that says Random Man in Atlanta. And the next day she came out with some merch that said Random Man in Atlanta, pick up my t-shirt. You can pick up my merch too at LoneeTaylorArt.com. And then I was watching her and I was like, she's going to get a reality show. All of them are going to get a reality show and it's going to be all of the children meet. That's going to be the premise. Or they're all going to move in a house and they're all going to get along in this house. All the baby mamas of the random man in Atlanta. I was like, that's what's next for this. So Morgan has positioned all of these black women in a position to win. If they choose to use this platform to be messy and to continue the narrative, then that's them. That's casting your pearls amongst swines. I believe that's what the Bible says. This is a beautiful gift that is being handed to all of them, all 7 of them. How they choose to, is Dr. Phil already involved? How they choose to respond to all of this is going to be whether they take this lifetime opportunity and expand it. Oh yeah, it's a done deal. The notoriety that they're getting simply from being on TikTok, I believe Morgan has grown in hundreds of thousands of followers in days. In days, she has grown in hundreds of thousands of followers because people are interested in this story and she's an interesting person. So the media is not far behind. The media is not far behind. And so if they use this platform, they can now catapult themselves into a space that they probably have always wanted to be. But it's just crazy to me that a non-black woman who is experiencing something that we all as black women experience within our community is the reason why this is newsworthy. Nothing against us. just calling a thing a thing. But I really think it's a cool opportunity for all people involved, and I hope they take full advantage of it. And I hope that they take full advantage of it in a progressive way that is beneficial to themselves and their children. Because I could see how this can get messy. I could see how these people and how in our community we get recognition just how messy and nasty we can be. So I can see this fake love brewing where, stop. I can see all this fake love brewing where, oh, I like her. She's dope. She's pretty. She got face card. Stop.
Would that have the blue?
No, when I'm finished. She got face card. She's cute. And, we got babies in common by the random man in Atlanta, That's all fake love. They're trauma bonding. They're all over their trauma bonding, and they're building their relationship upon trauma, a shared trauma. This man has identified all of these women at whatever stage in their lives. All of these women, when they encountered this man, were 18 and 19 years old. So he has a target demographic. And he's identifying these children, and he's impregnating them, and he's leaving them with children. And I know some people out there are saying nasty things about these young women. Please go. I know some people in the community, are saying nasty things about these women, like they don't have any standards and blah, 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 blah. And one of the women was like, look, I was an 18-year-old child. What standards necessarily did you expect me to have? This man swooped in because there was a deficit that was left. A man is only able to swoop in and swoop into your child's life like that because your child either doesn't have the awareness because you did not give it to him, or your child doesn't know that they could come to you to gain awareness. When I started listening to this random man in Atlanta conversation, I immediately clued into my 18-year-old because my 18-year-old came to me and told me about this 27-year-old that was trying to holler at her. And I was like, random man in Atlanta. So when the video came out of this woman who was doing her analysis on the situation, I sent it to my daughter, and I was like, pay attention to this. And my daughter was like, you know what? I made the parallel in the situation too. She was like, as soon as I heard about the random man in Atlanta, I made the parallel to the 27-year-old. I was like, good. So now my daughter knows to look out for that. Why? Because I gave her the awareness and the foresight ahead of time. We don't want to talk to our kids about these situations because they're not age appropriate, or we think if we talk to our kids about relationships and stuff like that, or, preventing being a baby mama and stuff like that, we are setting them up and telling them it's okay. It's okay to go out there and have, relations. I don't want to say the word because I don't want to get banned, but we feel like if we talk about those things, we feel like if we give our kids condoms, we're telling them to go out and have relations. No, I'm not telling you to go out and have relations, but I'm telling you, if you do choose, protect yourself. So I've always had those foresight conversations with my daughter in case this is something that she encounters, and she doesn't have to backtrack. She doesn't have to come back and say, Mom, I'm pregnant. Oh man, I should have gave you those condoms, shouldn't I? I should have taught you about birth control. I shoulda. No, I'm going to tell you ahead of time. And when I'm telling you, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm telling you if this happens, make sure you are smart and you navigate it. I also open up the door of communication with my daughter where she feels that she can come to me and talk to me about anything. So even if it's something that she knows that her mom is going to be like, it's not a good idea. First and foremost, you need to change the way that you respond to your children. If your children are coming to something that you know historically you would have yelled at them about, if you want your children to come to you, you need to stop yelling at them. So now that's why I posted that video earlier today where I was like, yo, Angel came to me and she was like, my TikTok account got banned because of my age. Are you able to help me to get my TikTok account back? Historically, I would have been like, that's the way the cookie crumbles. You didn't ask me for that account in the first place. Should have enjoyed it while you had it. But, she came to me. She finally feels comfortable enough to ask me to help her. Instead of trying to work around me, instead of trying to deceive me and get things from me from the back end. Like, how can I get this from my mom without my mom knowing I'm trying to get it because I'm doing something that I know that I'll get in trouble for? Well, if you no longer get in trouble, then you ain't got to try to deceive me. You don't have to try to work around me. And now I can help you navigate this. And so I'm opening up those lines of communication with Angel, but I also have to be aware that for 10, damn near 11 years, she's gotten in trouble for a lot of things. And so now I have to establish a place for her to feel comfortable to talk to me. But the good thing is, the things that she's encountering at 11 years old are nothing compared to the things that she's going to encounter at 15. So if I can establish a space of trust with her at 11, I know when she's 15, she's going to come to me and talk to me about whatever she needs to talk to me about so I could guide her through it. So when this 27-year-old presented themselves to my 18-year-old, my 18-year-old came to me and she was like, I already know what you're going to say, but I was like, yeah, that's not a good look. If we're looking at spiritual evolution and we're looking at emotional evolution, this 27-year-old shouldn't even see you. You shouldn't even be on their radar. Why? Because evolutionary, they have evolved. If we evolve and change and go through evolutions every 7 years, cellularly, we're completely different beings. And, mentally, spiritually, all those other things. I'm happy she came to me as well. Hey, Von Treese, you always come when I'm about to get up off this thing. And I know, but, I just be wanting to give you something because you showed up. So I'll be staying on longer for you, friend. You changed my life, Von Treese. And I want to tell you, you changed my life. You changed my philosophy from your message yesterday where you said, I have a message for you. You taught me that people come into your life and they're teachers. And today's live has been all about knowing who's a teacher and knowing who's a friend. And I have befriended teachers. So when you ask me, I'm always curious what happened between you and so-and-so. So-and-so was a teacher that I identified as a friend. And so nothing happened between me and so-and-so. What happened was they came and they taught me and they left. So when you said yesterday that you have a message for me and I'm looking for that message, I'm a vibe with you and I'm a kick it with you. And then I'm listening to you and you got good information. But when I hear that message, my ears are going to go like this. Doodle. And potentially we separate after that. We separate after that. Potentially why? Because you understand that I'm a teacher of yours. And there's no need for us to hold on to anything any longer than it needs to be held on to. But the thing is, we hold on to things longer than they need to be held on to because we have now put you in the category of a friend, and a friend is supposed to be lifelong. No, a friend isn't supposed to be lifelong. We might be. I'm okay with it. There are so many people on this app who have just flowed in my life, impacted my life, and flowed out of my life. And there's people who I've had really strong connections with where, they're commenting on my videos. I'm commenting on their videos and all those different things. It doesn't mean you don't value me. I value you too. I hope that we're in each other's lives forever. But we might just be a reason or a season. And just because someone's a reason or a season, that doesn't mean we don't value them. That just means we were brought together divinely. Divinity brought us together. Because if divinity brought us together, then it would be us now switching into the physical world, trying to force something to last longer than it's supposed to. So it's going to flow naturally. And because we value each other, we will allow that to happen instead of creating a space that doesn't need to happen. You know what I'm saying? That's value, allowing people to flow in and out peacefully, communicating our standards and just moving in peace. And when it no longer feels good, we separate. That's value as well, So yeah, we gonna hang on to each other. We gonna hang on to each other as long as we can. Once you locked in, ain't no switching up. Hey, we be lifelong. We be lifelong. I'm down for it, Von Treese. But what you told me was when teachers come into your lives, life, in our lives, in your life, they're there to teach us something. And then once that message is delivered, who knows what happens to the relationship after that? I don't know. This is my first time. Actually, it's my second time. Oh, girl was my first time. And I realized through what you said, I'm looking for a message. And I realized that person grew me spiritually. Like my whole spiritual outlook grew from that relationship. I am who I am today because of that relationship. That relationship is still teaching me. I will never look back at that relationship in any type of bitter energy because that relationship changed my life. It was valuable and I valued the relationship. But I'm okay with the ending of it because they were a teacher. They taught me what they needed to teach me. To hold on to them any amount of time longer than it was supposed to happen means that we are now forcing a round peg into a square hole or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so this other individual that I have identified as a teacher, and I feel because you said that I have a message for you, then I am a teacher for you, which means, you know, I'm going to leave that alone. But now I'm going to jump into my other friend where I'm just like, you know, it's valuable. It's value add on the way to the message. But when she finally communicated to me how her and her husband communicate, and I was like, damn, that's possible. I want that too. I was like, boom, you're my teacher because you just showed me what's possible. And you're going to teach me how to better improve the communication in my relationship. So now she's teaching me this. And I believe that I'm a spiritual teacher for her because the things that she's doing on her spiritual evolution are things that I've already done. So I'm able to demonstrate for her on the spiritual side, and she's able to demonstrate for me on the relationship communication side. So we are both teachers. Now, to your point, we can continue to teach each other stuff. Just because I have a message for you doesn't mean I don't have messages for you, you know, so we can connect. We don't know. But by you saying that, that taught me that we have teachers, and sometimes we put those teachers in friend categories, and then we end up creating more trauma and drama than the peace that it should have been. It's more than what I explained. Can't put my finger on it. It's all right. It's all right. I'm just saying, you saying I have a message sparked that whole thing. So you sparked a whole revelation. You don't even know what you're saying when you're saying the things that you're saying. But if life is a classroom, and it is, you just saying that taught me exactly why different people, we burn hard, we burn heavy. Me and this individual that I am no longer associated with, we burned hard, we burned heavy. We started creating a platform together. We started doing all these things, and it was so intense for it to end the way that it ended, and to end so abruptly. I was like, what in the world? She was a teacher. In order for her to quickly just pop, 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 pop into me, it had to be as intense as it was. She had to enter my space in a way that she could evolve me. And so it had to be what it was. And you just saying you have a message for me that's all you had to say. You have a message for me. Those 6 words. I told you when that man told me, as a man thinketh, so he is. And now, because he said those 7 words to me, I wrote a 224-page book. I wrote a 224-page book based off of him saying, as a man thinketh, so he is. So for you to say you have a message for me, I have now took that and did a whole 3-hour live on just those 6 words. So you helped me evolve and grow in that. And I believe it's more. And I hope that it's more, because I got plans for you, Vontrice. You already know. Yeah, so what was I talking about? Accepting family sets you up. I already talked about that. Accepting just enough broken cell phone. Perfection seeking. My daughter's cell phone is broken, and her cell phone has been broken for years. And the brokenness, I believe, is the network. It's not the cell phone. We have bought her a new cell phone. We have got her a new phone number. I believe it's the service provider. But she has accepted this brokenness and she has learned to work around this brokenness for years. And I said, you choosing to accept brokenness in any capacity in your life is setting you up to receive brokenness in your life in any capacity. Our standards of care need to extend past our human relations. Ours are interactions, I should say. Relations is good too. But our standard of care needs to extend into what we accept for ourselves. Because my daughter has accepted a broken cell phone and she figured out how to work around it. And now she has told her mind that I can work with just enough. I can work with just good enough. And so now when she has these friendships and these relationships and she's, dating all these guys and, trying to figure out what feels good and what doesn't feel good, she's accepting just good enough. She's trained herself to accept just good enough. I've trained her to accept just good enough. And if we accept brokenness in any capacity, if we accept just good enough in any capacity in our life, that is potentially, not all cases, but this is something that I identified based off of her cell phone. Now I've thought about it. If we allow just good enough, then we accept just good enough. And so when I'm talking to her, and I don't remember the perfection seeking part, it was a good conversation between me and my daughter, but I don't remember the perfection seeking part. But I do know that if we continue to allow people into our space and allow things into our space that do not fill us, do not feed us, and leave us feeling depleted, we must correct that. And the way that we start the correction is everything in our life where we have accepted just good enough. Stop it. Put a stop on it. Put a control in place. You know what I'm saying? Our friends, instead of not speaking up for ourselves and not asserting ourselves and saying, hey, I know that I've allowed you to speak to me this long, this way, and I've allowed just good enough, but I don't want it anymore. And then they can choose. They can choose to evolve with you, or they can choose to stay behind. Because I believe that friends are not forever. And a question that I did ask is, if you sit and you evaluate who you are today, would your friends that you have today be the friends that you would choose? The friends that you made yesterday, would they be the friends that you choose to have today? Because the relationships that you established in your life, my husband has friends that he's had since kindergarten. If you sit and you think, is this someone that I would meet and allow into my life today? If they aren't, it's time to reevaluate friendships. We should stop hanging on to dead, dry fruit simply because of history. If it's not feeding you, if it's depleting you, it's time to reevaluate. And sometimes that reevaluation is just a simple conversation. Yo, we're not on the same page. Do you think I value this relationship. Do you think that efforts can be made for us to be on the same page? And they're going to either say, you're tripping, this is stupid, and that answers your question. Or they're going to say, that makes sense. You haven't been fulfilling my needs either. Let's have a conversation. And now you have opened the door for you guys to evolve your relationship and grow. Now when you get together, you are no longer talking about the past. You're talking about the present. You're talking about building together. You're talking about what life looks like for you today. If you are stuck in the past in a relationship, that means that your relationship is stuck in the past. And the reason why you are still friends together is because this is someone that I could go and relive the past with. But this is not something that I can build a future with. Now, it's good to have those past relationships. It's good to reminisce. It's good to, live in the glory days. But it's good to visit. That's a better word. It's good to visit the glory days. It's not good to live in the glory days. Because if you're living in the glory days, that means that you are not living in your glory days. That means that your best days are behind you. It does get old. That means your best days are behind you, which means you are not putting the effort necessary into your present life in order to make your present life your glory days. So that's some evaluation that needs to happen. Would the friends that you have today be the friends that you would choose? And I think that's a good note to end this live on. Would the friends that you made in your history who are still your friends today, would you choose those friends today? Would they feed your soul today? Because if you are in this community, you understand that your soul needs to be fed. We are no longer doing spirit feeding. We are feeding souls. So, all right, guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for the 5K likes. I know Von Trees has the real number. How many likes you got, Von? I see 5.8. What do you see? And I'm telling you, like 2 or 3 of y'all people got me to 5K likes. I appreciate every single one of you 2 and 3 people. I appreciate you, Pat. You over there, you know, braiding hair and commenting in the section. You know, we do work. I appreciate you guys showing up. Thank you so much. And Vaughn, I get off. What time is it where you're at? It's 3 o'clock here. I get off at 3 o'clock. So you got to show up at like 2:30. 5.8. That's what I see too. It's pretty awesome though. 5.8. And I think I've never had more than 5 viewers at a time today. It starts out real strong. When I hop on, I got like 5 viewers and I'm like, okay, let's go. And then it drops down. And I'm like, okay. It says nothing about you. It says everything about people got stuff to do. Everybody ain't got 3 hours to sit on here with you. So, you know, I don't take it personal. And I've actually trained myself not even to look up at that number up there. I just look down. So I don't even know what's going on. You're an hour ahead of me. Let's see. So it's 4 o'clock. So yeah, just hop in a little bit sooner. I reached out to the young lady. What young lady? What young lady you reach out to? Do we have a conversation that I don't remember? Oh, Sharika, about TikTok shop? The young mother. Morgan? Or it's really Tot? It's really Tot? The one that is struggling? Oh, thank you. I went and I looked in the comments of that video and I saw how a lot of the members of the community went out. Yeah, a lot of the members of the community went out and encouraged her. So thank you. Thank you. That's why we're here. That sister support, that real looking out for each other. And again, some of our male community members was over there like, yo, DM me anytime you need. So it's beautiful. I'm so just, I have been tasked with, and it bothers me because this is so out of the norm. Always loving on you guys, you know, always shouting you out and always talking about you guys. I was like, this is so weird. Stop doing it. I was like, but it's necessary because to build the network that I envisioned to build, I posted a video yesterday. I was just like, I've been trying to unite Black women my whole life. Now I know. This is the 3rd time that I have tried to unite Black women. You'll come to learn I'm long-winded with certain things. I had to inbox there. That's all right. Maybe that's why you couldn't get your video to have no audio today, Pat. Because you was about to run your mouth. I'm long-winded too. We would have been on this thing. You know, but this is my 3rd time trying to unite. Yes, I'm doing it this time. The first time I was in Dallas, and the connection I made was every time that I reach out to my sisters is so crazy. The first time, and I'm looking at the word healing on the board. Every time that I try to reach out to my sisters, this is a point in my life where I'm at the lowest point in my life. I'm at the lowest point in my life, and I'm reaching out to my peers. And I don't know that I'm reaching out to my peers for support, but I recognize the first time I was in Dallas, I had just moved to Dallas. No. Was it Dallas? Yep, I just moved to Dallas. My mom had terminal cancer, and I moved out there to stay with her. But I had just foreclosed. I didn't foreclose. I short sold my house, my condo, and all those different things. And I went out there, and I had just learned about vision boards, and I was like, I want to teach a class. And so I went and I printed out all my flyers, and I found a yoga studio, woo-woo lady who, have a great day, love you, who allowed me to use her studio for free. So, I printed out all my flyers, and I was just too nervous to even pass my flyers out. And, the day of my event, I came and she unlocked the doors for me, and I sat in there and nobody showed up. I didn't even believe in myself. I believed in the vision. I just didn't believe in myself. The second time was when I got back from Dallas and I started Ladies Living Life. That was the group that I started. That is the throwback the throwback that I posted yesterday where I'm in the dance studio. That was Ladies Living Life, where I would do these different events. And I talked about this on the live yesterday. And I tried to unify and unificate and all these different things. And, the only people who showed up were my cousins and my friend, and that's it. No community support, but I tried to promote on social media, and I aligned with someone who said they were a promoter, but they really weren't a promoter, and they were just posting on their timeline, and it's whatever. And so that never happened. And so this is the third time that I am working to unify Black women. And it's happening. And I'm so excited. So when I start speaking life into you guys, I'm thinking, man, get off these people's jocks. But I'm just like,
Hey, Mother, you want to
it's necessary.
trampoline?
No, it's too hot to jump on the trampoline, but I gotta go get your brother and sister.
Okay.
This is so much bigger, and the love is necessary. It's so necessary. It's so necessary for us to lift each other up. That fake love, those days of fake love, those days of superficial connectivity are behind us. And in order for those days to be behind us, we have to do the things that feel weird. For me to constantly mention your names and to constantly support you. And when I see you pop into my lives and I'm like, yo, let me show you I got your book. All those different things, or for me to say, Pat, thank you. For me to say Pat's a fine artist and, this is what Vaughn has going on over there and these are all the different things. Yeah, that's not normal, but it should be. It should be. Oh, shit. All right, y'all, I got to get off this live. I cannot climb a ladder and hold a phone at the same time with the bruised foot. So I'm going to talk to y'all later. But yeah, I'm going to keep loving on y'all and we going to keep growing and evolving together. And I didn't put no shoes on, so this shit is burning my feet. Gotta go. It's because I've been wanting to bring people together for years, and my clients keep asking, yes, sis, we joined for a reason. I'm going to put y'all down right here real quick. All right, bye, y'all.